Oh shit, give me that earphone. Well,
I mean, there's nothing playing at the minute, but...
Is this us in?
We're in, mate.
We're in. All right, okay, we're in. We're in. Let the Scuffed stream begin. We are officially online.
Shit.
Plugged it in. Taken out the Matrix. Are we audible.com?
Well, I hope so. I can't listen to it while we're doing this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm speaking to them, speaking directly. I'm speaking from the heart, directly to the viewership. I can see the microphone arrays going good. We just have to wait for them. We have to wait for confirmation from the chat. Oh yeah! The boys are in!
Shit.
Lord have mercy. Okay, ladies and gents, good evening. Put my sexy radio voice on, my friend. I see we've got some people in the chat, but before we get to that, let me introduce myself. I am Vulgrin, and I'm here with my boy,
Big JC Denton.
Yeah, you ain't even played Deus Ex before, but he's still JC Denton, am I right?
Yeah, you made me him, so that's me now.
Well, that's it. I needed somebody to appeal to the fairer sex, and I just couldn't cut it. So. I'm a taken man, right? I've got to keep it PG, I've got to keep it family friendly. I need somebody to add a little edge to the stream. But here we are. Mr. Denton, Mr. JD, Mr. JD Senton, if you will. Have we had a few drinks so far?
We've had a few.
We've had a couple.
I'm on 1.5 strongies. So.
Got a bit of a micro buzz to go along with the micro penis.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what it is. That's what you told me. Guys, welcome to the Scuffed stream. Fucking hell. The Scuffed stream. Very scuffed indeed, as you can see. Go on.
I was going to say, I mean, we've started the same time as Asmon, apparently, so we've already scuffed already.
It's alright. If it weren't for the Twitch takedowns, Asmon would have half an hour of Dragon Force playing in the background before he'd get into it. But,
oh shit, you're saying I'm a furry, man.
Who's saying you're a furry? Why is Denton the furry? Oh, yeah, it's because basically this is the Halloween stream, Forrest.
Yeah, I'm not an actual furry, God forbid.
Unfortunately, I'm working on the weekend, so I'm not going to actually be available on Halloween itself. So this is essentially a spooky stream. This is all that we can do. The scariest thing about this stream is the fact that it's going ahead at all, because it's going to be very fucking scuffed indeed. But here it is. So you got the two of us tonight to entertain you, and we have a few things lined up, don't we, my friend?
Yeah, boy.
You're just tinkering about there.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get the chat a bit quicker, because I can't compensate with this like 10-second delay.
Alright, okay, well just don't fuck it up, man. Play it smooth. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So guys, we ordered some fried chicken, but because we spent literally all day trying to sort out the stream, we only ordered it about half an hour ago, and it's not coming here for about half an hour. So if you hear the doorbell ring, don't worry, we probably haven't been swatted. It's just the KFC delivery man. And what are you getting with yours, with your order? This, by the way, no paid promotions here. We're not big enough to be sponsored by the Colonel yet, by Colonel Sanders.
We're waiting, but it's not happening. I'm just getting the original 3-piece.
Oh, he's getting the 3-piece. I'm getting a mini fillet burger, man. It's a rare item these days. But before we get any further, before we get into that, let's speak straight from the heart to these people right here, my friend. Let's see who we've got going on here. We've got my main man, Jaroslav Jost, coming straight from the Czech Republic, I believe. Because he had CZ at the end of his name. Jaroslav is the big man. Big man right here. We've got Alejandro. Apologies for any bizarre accents, by the way. Forgive me, my friends. We've got Alejandro, my man. Thank you so much for coming along, my dude. We've got Tjorven, straight from Skyrim, straight from fucking Riften. My boy here. Who else have we got? We've got Oliver Borkstrom. Oliver Borkstrom, that's a Swedish name, I think. How you doing, my friend? Sweden is a gorgeous country. I was in Umeå the other year, in like this time last year actually. Went all the way up to North Sweden to hang out with my boy Tim the Hunter. What else have we got here? Bria Jansen.
Yeah, Bria's clearly watched you how to on the Warlock, and now
what?
He's a pro player.
He's a pro player. He saw that, my friend, and who didn't watch that video and learn a lot about how to press Chaos Ball many, many times. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you're from Norway, my dude. Oh, fucking fantastic. Whereabouts Whereabouts in Norway are you from, or is that like too much information? Somebody might hunt down our boy Teals here. Oh, he lives in Belgium though. He's eating that fine chocolate.
He's a traveller.
He's having the Stella, the wife beater's finest beverage, the Stella Artois, and he's eating the finest chocolate treats, my friends. And we've also got my main man Paul in the chat. Paul, Farthen the priest, the bro, an IRL friend of many years. How are you doing, Paul? Very good to see you here, my friend. Thank you for all the help, my friend. I appreciate it very much. We've got a man whose name is Simon. He appears to be a Polish gentleman. I'm going to try to pronounce his name, John. Prepare yourself. His name is Krivotsyka. I think that's probably how it's pronounced. Krivotsyka. Krivotsyka. A good man. We've got everybody here. We've got Major Muffin from Deutschland.
Yeah.
Das Deutschen Streamen.
I don't think we're ever going to start this stream. We're just going to say hello to everyone.
Wait, man, that's what it's all about. This stream's never going to end. I'm not going to upload another video now that I got super chats enabled. And if you want to donate a super chat, by the way, you can do it. I'm paying JC Denton here by the hour, right? He's charged minimum wage, which in this country is only like about 50 pence an hour, right? That's what we agreed on, yeah?
Well,
but here it goes. So, guys, let me tell you what the crack is. Good morning, Vaclav. Good morning, good evening, good morning where you are, maybe. I appreciate it. We've got different time zones in the chat here. So yeah, what we're going to do today is we're just going to give it a couple of minutes here to just introduce everyone. This is the first live stream I've ever done on any platform, on any channel. So expect it to be very scuffed indeed. We'll just have some bants for a little bit, chill out. We are pretty sauced. It's going to become increasingly sauced. We are English gentlemen. And for those of you of the European persuasion, you're probably well aware of the fact that we like our liquor in this country, don't we?
We like it, but we can't handle it.
We can't handle it, but we like it. If there's things that English people like, it's fish and chips, booze, and being bald and sunburnt. Neither of us are bald, by the way. I don't have that good a YouTube channel yet. When my YouTube WoW channel is at 100,000 subscribers, I'll probably start to go bald. They all do. But for now, we're good. My friend, be very careful with what you're doing with the editing. I'm scared that you're going to end the live stream prematurely. We've only just started. But here it goes, guys. So what we've got lined up for you today is, after we chill out for a good 15-20 minutes, just get settled in. I hope you've all got a beverage. I appreciate that for most of you, it's just like daytime, if you're in the Americas. In the new world, my friend.
Yeah.
In the land of glory and wealth.
Yeah, Vaclads is on the lash, so...
Yes, mate! Get on the fucking lash! That's what it's all about. Very classy indeed. After we chill out...
Oh, shit. Bald grin.
Bald grin?
It's probably because you're on about your hair, mate.
Bald grin? Well, at least it's not virgin wow, like Google thinks I am. Monetized, by the way, boys. I actually got through the process. Crazy shit. I actually got through. Oh, no. They're all... It's Bald Grins in the chat, mate. He's gone for another cider. Anyway, so what's going to happen is, after we all get settled down... We're going to tell some spooky tales from World of Warcraft. And by spooky, I mean hilariously bad stories of me playing the game and JD playing the game. Because I feel like you guys have... you've seen a lot of my videos at this point, and I talk with some authority, would you say? Yeah. I've got a lot of experience in the game. Oh, that'll be the KFC. If it's the FBI, mate, just tell them I ain't here. So, we're going to eat our KFC and we're going to get into it for a little bit. We'll give it another 10 minutes or so. Just see if another, 2 or 3 people turn up. I've asked my mum and I've asked JD's mum to watch the stream just to artificially inflate the viewer count, if you know what I mean. That's a joke. We didn't actually do that. We're not that sad. And then after we've just chilled out and had our chicken, we are going to start telling these horror stories. These scary stories from World of Warcraft. Because we've all been there, right? All of us started somewhere with the game. Some of us were experienced gamers, people who came from EverQuest or Warhammer Online or, God forbid, Final Fantasy XIV. And some of us were not. Some of us were children. Was it KFC, my friend?
Bad news, it was the window cleaner.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you fucking for real?
Yeah.
Why the fuck is the window cleaner coming round at 7:10?
Well, at least it's not the milkman.
The milkman'd be going to your mum's house. Oh, you can see what we're in for tonight. But anyway, I was just telling these people, these fine fellows, these merry men, these band of brothers, that we're going to be chilling out for a little bit, and then after that we're going to be...
Yeah, carry on, mate.
We all good? You look pensive, sir. You look like you've just spotted an iceberg on the horizon.
It's fine, don't worry.
We've got excellent connection, don't worry. The latency is top notch. It's crisp. It's crispy. Crispy goodness. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to tell these horror stories, and most of these are going to be about me, because I've been playing the game a lot longer than JC Denton is. JD, can you just quickly get up on your phone the stream just to make sure that we are actually streaming, because I'm a bit concerned.
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Can you guys still hear us? Have we not faced technical difficulties already? Oh, shit. Oh, I think they're here, man. I think they can hear us. Yeah, we're good. Right, they can hear us. Jay Spencer wants to know where we're from, my friend. Do you want to give him a rough location without telling us a postcode?
What you say? Oh, well,
Jay Spencer wants to know where we are from.
We're from...
Well, wait, hang on. Let's ask. Where do you guys think we may be from? Where would you say we're from? Based on our accents, our demeanour, our rapport. Where do you guys in the chat think that we're from? A bit of a quiz, mate. A bit of a guessing game. Everyone's fine. Shit. 21 people watching the stream, mate. That's at least 3 times what I expected.
That's like 21 more people than I know.
Yeah.
That are friends with me.
Oh, shit, man. That's pretty bleak. China.
We're from China.
Soviet Russia. Midlands.
Oh, God.
One of those things is a bit is dodgy. Right, okay, so we're not from China. I can confirm this is not a Chinese accent. We're not from Wales.
God,
We're not from Wales. We're not from the Midlands, thank fucking Christ.
I'm just scared that they say we're from the Midlands.
We're not from Soviet Russia, but I actually can speak a little bit of fucking Russian, so fucking... Здравствуйте, меня зовут Vulgrin, как дела? But that's another story for another time. I'm not a Russian, don't worry. We are actually from the north. The north of England. Also the north of the Seven Kingdoms, mate.
Yeah,
right.
the true north. Not beyond the wall, but
That's it.
close enough.
Ruled by our king, Sean Bean. Rest in peace. Died many, many times for our sins. Did Sean Bean. But yeah, no, we're from the north. If I sound like I'm not from the north, it's because I'm posh, basically. JD's he's a tradesman. He's in the trade, so he's got a proper northern accent, don't you, buddy?
Say grass. Grass.
Grass, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever say grass.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, have you got any grass there, young man? Hand it over.
Lancashire's close enough, I guess.
The Wells accent, yeah, that's it. And by the way, I should just mention now, seeing as I'm looking at it straight away, JD, he puffs on the vape. So if you think that you can hear a Sith Lord during the stream, it's not. It's just Darth Vader over here, taking a little puff. Everything above board. Nothing dodgy. Right, okay, so now that the window cleaner's been and gone, I think we should probably get started. Thank you all for turning up.
Yeah, I think we'll...
We settled down. My heart's racing, mate. I feel so excited. Leave his grass alone. The dude's in Belgium. That's close to the Netherlands. They share a border. They probably share customs when it comes to the peace pipe. The shamanic peace pipe, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
What are you tinkering with now?
Nothing, it's done that thing again, but we'll carry on because it was fine last time.
It was fine before, it will be fine again. We'll be all good. Okay, guys. But the audio quality's fine and everything. I'll let you catch up and let us know. So, we are from the north of England. I won't say specifically where, but let's say that if Preach, of Preach Gaming fame, says that he's from the north of England, he's not actually from the north of England. He's basically from the Midlands. We're from the actual north of England. As in, if we look from a great height, we can see Scotland, which is obviously something to always be a little bit concerned about. But hey,
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
It's just like, look, it's like being at fucking Osgiliath. We can see Mordor.
Okay, that's a reference right there, my friend. We're going straight into Tolkien fandom's territory right now. But here we go. Again, what we got here? He's wanted to go to Liverpool. You wanted to go to Liverpool?
He's a mad
This
lad.
Yaroslav's an absolute crazy bastard. He wanted to go to Liverpool. Oh well, right. So guys, we're from the north of England. I've been playing World of Warcraft since spring of 2008, I want to say. I was 13 years old when I started playing the game, but I knew about Warcraft for a little bit longer than that, and I think we may as well get into the story.
Yeah, if you want to get started, I shall.
Mate, you may as well have a nap. You don't come into the story for another hour and a half. By the time you come in, I'll have already passed out from the booze. Right, okay. So, where to begin, my friends? A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a little boy by the name of Vulgrin was into the video. He played the video, and he was a happy kid. He was an only child living in a big house, and video was his only friend. You might be able to relate to this boy. JD, can you relate to this boy at all?
I was a lonely child as well.
Yeah, you were an only child or a lonely child?
Well, both.
Oh, right, well, it kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it? Well, anyway, long before Vulgrin made the fascinating partnership that was the Vulgrin JC Denton partnership, he was an only child. And he was pretty lonely because, you see, for some reason, my parents thought it was a good idea to send me to school.
Your man wants to know if it's spooky.
Oliver wants to know if the tale's spooky.
It's not. I wouldn't say spooky, but it's definitely scary.
I must tell you something, Oliver. There will be a story in here from Warlords of Draenor. JD, do you know what story I'm referring to?
Yeah.
Because we planned it in advance, but don't tell them that. There will be a story in here, Oliver. And it's a story about a family raiding guild. If Paul Wilkinson is in the chat, he's the one that got me into this guild, and he will be referenced. Won't he, my friend? He will be referenced quite a lot. He is in the chat, don't worry, you don't have to scroll. Hopefully he's not dipped out already.
He's put his full name in the chat, so we're not...
Yeah, I'm not doxing him. But yeah, it's a Warlords of Draenor story. And it's a story of a family guild. But yeah, there he is. He knows exactly what we're talking about. That will come into the story a little bit later. There are also stories of roleplay guilds. Not just any roleplay guilds. What kind of roleplay guilds? Troll-only roleplay guilds. Does that sound spicy to you, sir?
I wish I was in it.
Yeah, mate, you only play trolls, right?
That's my thing now.
Yeah, exactly. Mate, watch out, people are going to think you're doing some fucking tic-tac-toe on the ground, man.
I'm sorry. Well, I can't say what I was going to say.
Yeah, don't say any naughty things. The channel's young. We want it to grow to old age. But here we go, right. Let's get into it. So, like I said, I was an only child, and for some reason my parents thought it would be a good idea to send me to a school, both at the primary and secondary level, that was nowhere near where I was actually living. The problem with this is that it basically meant that I had no friends that lived within like a couple of miles of where I was. And unlike in certain countries, children in the UK can't drive. And unlike what you might be led to believe, we don't actually fly on broomsticks to go to school and to see our friends. So there wasn't really much that I could do. I had some... what should we call them? I had some backup options, though. And those backup options were basically the following. Medieval Total War 2. Shout out to one of the best games ever made. No, I don't have an OnlyFans. I can confirm. JD, I'm not so sure about. Do you have an OnlyFans, mate?
No, not
right.
yet.
Not yet.
When the demand's there.
Yeah, that's it. Once we get a few more ladies coming in. So, what I had instead of friends, friends at the local level was, I had a fucking time computer. A fucking time computer. And for those of you who don't know what a time computer is, go on YouTube right now, keep the stream running, of course, and look up Time Computers Leonard Nimoy. This was like a spaceship of a computer, an absolute massive, massive thing, right? And we basically, all I had was Medieval Total War 2. I had Cossacks European Wars, which is a pretty niche game, but back in like 2002, I want to say, is when it was released, or earlier. That was the best. I was really into my RTS games, and that's what I was into. But here's the thing. My parents were split up. Sad times, but the story gets interesting because of this, right? My dad's partner had a son. It's getting kind of strange, but just bear with me. My dad's partner had a son. And he was a couple of years older than me. and we'll call him Dave. His name is Dave, but you know
He liked to creep in your room at the middle of the night.
what the fuck, man.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, Dave was a much bigger gamer than I was. He had been into games for a long time, and because he was a little older than me, he'd grown up with things like the N64 and stuff like that. What are you doing? What are you looking up now, bro?
I'm doing some
research.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of time to do some research. This story's never going to get on with it, man.
I'll change some images whilst you yapper.
What the fuck have you got that image on the screen for? Anyway, so Dave was good at games. He actually helped me complete the final mission of 007 Nightfire when I had it on the, I want to say GameCube. He was very good, even at a young age. And one thing that Dave liked to do, and it was something that we all did back in like the early mid-2000s, was that we'd go to cyber cafes, or cyber cafes, or whatever the fuck you say, cafe, caf, whatever. And he'd go there and he'd play games like Counter-Strike. And I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, I had no experience of online gaming, because these weren't the sorts of games that I played. The big games for me were ones where it was like single player campaigns and stuff like that. Man, all they're going to hear is that scrolling wheel. But yeah, he played those games, and because of the fact that his mum and my dad were an item, I would often be round at his house, and I watched him play some absolute classic games that really blew me away. He was big into Unreal Tournament back in the day, Counter-Strike, Neverwinter Nights he was really big into, and Morrowind. So that's the kind of era that we're talking about. And I was just a young whippersnapper. I was like 7 years old at the time, and I thought that this was really, really good. One time, we went to this cyber cafe, or cyber cafe. How do you even pronounce that, man? We went to this cyber cafe. Yeah, cyber cafe. And I saw that he was playing with some people that he knew. And they were playing this weird game that I had never seen before. Its graphics were really odd. I wasn't massively interested because at the time, I was too busy playing Star Wars Battlefront on like the multiplayer mode. And I was... Yeah, man. You know it, John.
I never played it, but apparently it was better than the newer one.
It was much better than the new one. It was better than the second one. So we were playing that. And I looked over and saw that he was playing this weird game. He was playing this strange, lanky character with these really, like, bobbly ears. And he was running through this forest with, like, purple moss on the ground and stuff like that. Thank you very much for pouring me a drink there, sir. Sipping on the Captain Morgan's Spiced Gold. Yeah. And I saw that he was running through this forest on this strange character, this blue man, this really blue, lanky man with these bobbly ears. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here, man? And I went over and I said, what are you playing? And that was the moment. You know, that was the moment that we've all had at some point in the time that we played this game. That somebody says to you, I'm playing a game called World of Warcraft. And I was like, World of Warcraft? I've heard of that. I've seen adverts for that on the TV. Isn't that like an online game? And we're talking like back in like 2006 at this point. And a lot of us back then, I don't know if any of you guys are of the same age, but like my parents, they thought that online games, it was like going on a casino. It was dodgy stuff. But I thought that the game that this guy was playing was really, really interesting. And obviously, as you might have deduced, what he was doing was, he was playing a night elf, and he was in Teldrassil. And he was leveling a night elf rogue in Teldrassil. And this night elf was called Toxic. That was literally the name of it. And it should say a lot about how I became the player and the man in WoW that I am today, that the person that got me into the game played a rogue that was literally called Toxic. But I thought that this game looked really cool. Anyway, I came to his house a few weeks later, and he was playing World of Warcraft. He got it on his actual PC rather than just the Cyber Cafe one. And I said, man, this game looks fucking awesome. He said, it is awesome. It's really cool. And it's giving me chills thinking about it and conjuring up these memories. But he was in Ironforge. I think we were on Skull Splitter EU on Alliance side at the time. And he was in Ironforge on his rogue. And his rogue was like level 30 or something at the time. I think this is the case because I saw him do Scarlet Monastery Library a little further on. And I think at this point we must have been at like late vanilla. Maybe the very early Burning Crusade. And he had his rogue in Ironforge, and you know exactly where I'm talking about. He was outside of the auction house bank kind of strand. And I saw that there were all these other people, And the closest thing to this that I'd seen was when I was watching him playing Neverwinter Nights on like the multiplayer servers and stuff like that. And I was thinking, this is so cool, you know? Like, I had played role-playing games before, but they weren't the focus of my games. And being this like starry-eyed kid that had been massively into Lord of the Rings and all kinds of fantasy, there was nothing that I liked more than the thought of being able to create an actual character that I was into and playing it in this immersive multiplayer world. So anyway, Dave was like to me, you can play this. Like, there are ways that you can get like game time for it that are quite easy. You can get game cards and stuff. So if it's that your parents don't want to kind of put a credit card thing on the internet, it's pretty easy to do that. So I was instantly hooked, because then we started talking about the classes, and check how cheeky this is. JD, yes. What class do you think Dave recommended I should play as a 12-year-old who was really interested in the concept of Lord of the Rings? What do you think he recommended that I should play?
The Blood Elf Hunter.
Well, it was a hunter. He said you should play a hunter. This cheeky bastard knew that as a new player, I should play a hunter. And check this for pro tips. The reason that he gave for why a hunter would be a good starting class was they're good at pulling. That's what he thought would be a great... It's like, dude, if you go... If you play the game, bro... Hey, JD, I'm going to get you into this fucking game, right? Here's what the selling point is, right? If you play this class, you can be in dungeons, and you can be the one that gets the mobs to attack the other guy, dude. Like, it's so important. It's so useful. And that's basically how it went. So he told me this, but on the real though, the thing that sold me about the hunter is that, again, I think that the Zoomers out there, they won't understand what it's like to step into a game like World of Warcraft and it be the first online experience of a game you've ever had. Because to me, when he was talking about the fact that you could tame pretty much any beast out in the world, I was like, what? Really? That's insane. And it was true. So I went to my mother and I was like, Mum, please let me play World of Warcraft. All the cool kids are playing it, which wasn't true, because at the time, the cool kids just played FIFA 06 or whatever the fuck it was. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think I was one of them when I was playing FIFA, mate, then Call of Duty.
The thing is, at the time, you were actually just a cool guy that like played football and stuff like that. It was before I had exerted influence on you.
What happened?
Around this time, by the way, I'd started secondary school, and or high school for you Americans out there. We'd started high school, and I was put in a form. I don't know what do they use form in America, do you think? We were put in a class like where we would start the day as a class, and then we'd go off to like different, you know, subjects and stuff like that, and then you could reconvene as a class at the end of the day or something. And in my class there were a few guys that I thought were pretty cool. And one of them was this guy who had this like weird like Mike Tyson Z cut in his hair, and he had like a cut in one of his eyebrows. He looked like a real scary character, and that was you, wasn't it?
Sounds like an absolute badass.
Yeah, he was a very cool guy, and he became one of my friends, and that was JD. But JD at the time you weren't that massively into games, were you? You played a few games, but nothing.
No, I was an assassino.
Yeah, you played Assassin's Creed. Oh yes. Everything is true. No, nothing is true. Everything is permitted. Yeah. So anyway, back to me. What ended up happening was that I started playing WoW because I convinced my mother that you could play with a game card that we could get from the local game station shop in town. So there didn't need to be any kind of online transaction really. You just inputted a code. But here's the problem. Our internet was pay as you go, and this was 2008, and we lived in a rural part of northern England. It took me 4 days to download vanilla WoW and the Burning Crusade using the old patch client, and I'm pretty sure this was a time, JD, where to get the game you had to install all of the discs. You didn't download the game. That was just the patching system. And you downloaded like one disc at a time, and it'd be like, you've gotten to 25%, now insert disc number 2. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. It took me 4 fucking days over the spring Easter holidays in 2008 to download this shit. I swear to God. I came down to the dining room table and my poor laptop, I don't know what make it was, don't know what model it was, it looked like some sort of like minuscule command desk from the Starship Enterprise. It was that massive. But this poor laptop, right, that my dad still uses, by the way, how fucking funny is that? He's still using that piece of shit. Well, anyway, this laptop had been downloading... What the fuck? Bro. Streamception, what are you doing?
I'm sorry, man.
Artificially inflating the viewership. I'm going to get banned here. But anyway, it took 4 days to download the game. And I came downstairs on the Friday at like 1 in the morning to see whether or not the game had downloaded. And it had. And I was ready. Imagine it, the hype had been building the whole time. The stream launch... How old am I? I'm 25. How old are you, bro? You're 25?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 25. We're both 25. Back in 2008, I will have been 13. 13 back then. Well, anyway, I came down on a Friday in the early hours of the morning and saw that the game was ready to play. And my mother was like, shut the fuck up, go back to bed, you stupid kid. You can play the game tomorrow, it's the holidays. Unfortunately, we were going on holiday in like 3 days' time. We were going on holiday on the Monday. So I got up on like the Friday morning at 9 o'clock and I came downstairs and the game was ready to play. Despite all of the hurdles I'd gone through, convincing my parents that we could play the game, convincing my parents that the download was fine, waiting for the download to do it, installing all the discs, all of that stuff, the game was ready. I logged in and I made a Night Elf Hunter on Skullsplitter EU called Viscar. And I pressed that launch button and I went into the world and I cannot describe the feeling that I got. I don't know if it'll have been the same for you because you were a grown man.
I was a man.
You didn't see WoW until you were a grown man. Oh, yes. Oh God, I just got beard. I just got coke in my stubble. But when we downloaded it, I got in the game and I can't describe that feeling. I was absolutely blown away. It was just ridiculous. Playing WoW for the first time as a kid is one of the most amazing experiences you can ever have. And I think that was probably the moment where I realised that this game was going to change my life. And I know that's really cringy to say, but the experience for me was comparable to the first time my parents took me to Disneyland. It was like that. Or the first time I ever went to like a party where there were girls and shit like that. It was like pure...
What's that like, man?
Oh man, you're putting all the Sag feels in today.
I'm just making jokes.
But yeah, like, I cannot describe that feeling. But I know that most of you who are watching this probably know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, if you joined in the latter stages of the game, especially if you joined after like Wrath of the Lich King, it's a shame because you missed out on something truly incredible. And for real, like, all the jokes aside, the feelings I felt that day when I logged in for the first time were absolutely amazing. It didn't last very long because I ended up fucking killing myself in-game. Obviously. I don't know why I needed to clarify that. I ended up killing myself in-game and losing my character, but we'll get to that in a second. I logged in and it was absolutely amazing. I was killing those little lightsaber puppies, like just shooting them with my bow and arrow. Pow! 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 Yeah! Killing those little fell, what are they called? Grellkins? The Grell? Those little orange motherfuckers that look like Cheetos. The ones that, you know what I'm on about in the Night Elf starting zone?
Yeah, because
you've never played a Night Elf, have you? Well, anyway, we were in that point, and I did all of, what's it called? Is it called Shadow Glen? I think it is. The Night Elf starting zone, and I was so blown away. It was absolutely incredible, and it was especially good because, as those of you who will play Classic will know, you had things back then like quivers and arrows and ammo, and all of this stuff made the game seem so much more realistic and so much more alive. Well, anyway, I leveled through to 1 to 6 or whatever it was, and I was so keen to continue. Like, I loved Hunter. I thought it was super cool. I walked out of Shadow Glen, and I was ready to continue my adventure. But here's the thing. Teldrassil is a dangerous place, and as a new player, all you want to do is explore. And WoW never tells you don't explore. WoW tells you that exploring is a great, great idea. So anyway, I thought, let me just explore this island. It's just an island, right? And even though I played Warcraft 3 before I played World of Warcraft, you don't see Teldrassil in Warcraft 3. And so I didn't know what Teldrassil was. I didn't realise it was a tree. I thought it was just a fucking island. I thought that you could go to the shore. We live in the United Kingdom. You don't go to like fucking Newcastle and fall off the edge of the world, but you do in Teldrassil. And that's what happened to me, as you'll have known if you've watched the So You Want to Play a Hunter video. I walked to the edge of the world. I walked to the edge of Teldrassil, and I just walked off a cliff. I don't know why I did it. It sounds pretty stupid to think about it. It wasn't intentional. But I walked off the edge of Teldrassil, and I fell about, I want to say, we're talking like real distance. I gotta say, I fell about half a kilometre. That tree's very high. It's not like falling out of a tree house and you... Oh, that'll be KFC, mate. Anyway, what I was gonna say is that I fell out the tree and I died. Long story short, fell out the fucking tree. It happens sometimes. Didn't fall on my head, didn't get any issues, but I did fall out of the tree. And I died, obviously. And I clicked release because I wasn't an idiot, and I knew that you had to go back to your corpse. But here's the thing. I didn't realise that you could return. I didn't realise that you could return to the graveyard and speak to the spirit healer. I thought that you had to go back to your corpse, and that was the only way that you could res in WoW. So I realised I'd fallen off the tree, and I realised I had to basically land my little wisp on the branch that I died on. KFC is here. We'll maybe take a short break in a little bit. We'll take a short break in like 20 minutes to eat KFC. Does that sound good?
That sounds right.
I feel like
You might be halfway through your story then.
Mate, it's your fault. I feel like if we just start munching on chicken, the boys are going to get a little bit upset. But yeah, exactly. Rip Vulgrin. Just what Oliver's saying. That's what happened. I thought, I'll just find the wisp, right? I'll just get the wisp back to my corpse. Not very easy on Teldrassil, funnily enough. You got to find the precise branch. And even if I had found the precise branch, what was I going to do? Just jump off that branch and die again? I didn't realise you could return to the graveyard, so I just logged out and deleted the character. And then I made a very good decision. And that decision was that I was going to make my second character, and that second character was going to be a human warrior, because at the time I was really into Conan the Barbarian. I think I'd seen like the original Conan film with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? It's a name. It's his name, okay? No bad words have just been spoken. It's an actor's name. Anyway, I'd watched that film with Arnold in, and, like, Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women. And I thought that game was, that film was the shit. So, I made a dark, long-haired human warrior, and I called him something like Conan or something similar. I never liked to just come up with random names like that were based on franchises, so it was probably something original. And I started in Goldshire, and I know that I leveled all the way through Northshire, sorry, and I know that I leveled all the way through the starting human experience, but for some reason I stopped. I don't know why, and it makes no sense, because Warrior, especially in the Burning Crusade, was the shit. It was such a good class, and remains one of the best classes Blizzard have ever made. Consistently so good. Warriors are so great, which is why pretty much every streamer plays a Warrior. It's because they've been fun from the beginning. But for some reason I decided that I didn't want to play Warrior. I have no idea why. I logged out, deleted my character again, because I had this weird compulsion that if I stopped playing a character, I had to delete him. I don't know why. I consigned that Warrior to the ether, and I made a human paladin on Skullsplitter EU, and I still have this character. He might have been changed to Stormscale at some point, but you're typing a little story in, aren't you? I've not read it, but I feel like it's going to be something cheeky.
I'm a cheeky boy.
You are a cheeky boy. You're a good lad, though. You're a good friend. But anyway, so I re-rolled from Warrior to a human paladin. That's the long story short. And that was a human paladin. Get this for the edgelords out there. A human paladin on Skullsplitter EU. A ginger. I am not ginger IRL, by the way. I have no idea why I made a ginger character. If you're ginger in the UK, you get ridiculed all the time. And that character was called Doomfather. What do you think about that, JD? His name was Doomfather, the human paladin. You're smiling. They can't see, but you're smiling a cringe smile. Doomfather, the human paladin.
I mean, I've made worse, probably. So
Yeah, Black Honor, which we'll get to very soon. But I made a character called Doomfather, and he was a human paladin. And long story short, this became my main all the way up until the launch of Wrath of the Lich King. Dave had been playing the game all through this, and Dave had shot all the way up to level 70 and was raiding in a raiding guild. And Dave became a really good player. He continued to play a rogue called Toxic. He ended up changing to Horde in Wrath, I believe. He changed to I think he changed to an undead female for the animations. But Dave played his Night Elf rogue through the Burning Crusade and most of Wrath. And Toxic, his rogue, was considered a really good PvP player. I think that at one time he was in one of the top 20 arena teams in the EU, either in 2s or 3s, on a rogue named Toxic. That's what he told me. It might be complete bullshit. He killed me every time I dueled him, but I was 13 years old, so who's to know? But basically, he did that thing that everyone does, which is basically, he never played with me once he got me into the game. Standard stuff, isn't it, mate? Somebody gets you into World of Warcraft, shows you the ropes, maybe plays with you for one day.
who would do that, mate?
Yeah, who would do that? What kind of nasty boy would do that? But that's basically what happened. He got me into the game, and then that was... I never really played with him again. And it's fair enough, because I was making the first character, and he was level 70. And leveling to level 70 was hard at the time. What are you laughing at? Have you seen someone post something funny in the chat? Should we check the chat?
No.
What's going on?
Just tallying.
Talahian did the same thing on my original Night Elf Hunter called Gay Hunter, because he was gay. Talahian, were you on Mune Were you Mune Guard, mate? Anyway, but basically, I never saw him in game. I think we did one Dead Mines run when we were a kid. They want to know what class you main, mate. We'll get to that. I need to hurry up the story so you actually can come into this a little bit, don't I? You take over for a bit, man. I'm going to sip on some rum.
No, well, I'll just say quick. My class isn't a mystery. I'll tell the lads.
Go ahead. Oh shit! Fucking statement.
I mean, I said hello to the ladies, but
it's for the lads.
There isn't any.
There isn't any. It's not that there isn't many. There isn't any ladies.
Oh god!
I don't think my girlfriend's even in the fucking chat.
Shit.
Go ahead, mate.
Nah, I play a troll rogue, so you know.
Oh my god. JC Denton plays a troll rogue. And what's the name of your troll rogue, JD?
John Bon Swanby.
John Bon Swanby. There you have it.
So yeah, if you want to...
If you want to come at me, if you want to come at Vulgrin, just know that hiding behind me at all times is an actual IRL and in-game jungle troll rogue called John Bon Swanby. Oh my god. But
yeah.
They don't ask what Vulgrin mains, though. I don't main Paladin anymore.
No, I think they want to know, but they're not going to know.
They're never going to know. I'm never going to tell them what I main. They'll sense that there's favouritism in the so you want to play a certain class video. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Anyway, so
right.
I think I did one Dead Mines run with Dave at one point. He was playing like a warrior at the time as like an alt. But other than that, I never saw him in the game. And I leveled all the way up to level 55, and I had many adventures that aren't worth talking about. Apart from one. What you
I was just going to say most of the shit isn't worth talking about.
Whoa, dude. You're supposed to be my hype man. I know that you play a role, but you don't have to be a nasty boy in real life as well. Anyway.
I've listened to this shit in the past half an hour.
But here we go. So, the story of me levelling a paladin was the exact same stuff you'll hear from everyone. I might make an actual video that's edited and scripted and therefore not as scuffed as this is later in the day. But not a demon hunter, Oliver. Never play a demon hunter, mate.
I mean, it'd be the big debate, wouldn't it?
What if I actually was a demon hunter the whole time? Like that bit where Vince McMahon revealed himself as the leader of the Ministry of Doom. That's me, just gonna throw off my hood. It turns out I was James Illidan fan XX the whole fucking time. Oh, I'm actually Vulgrin, wow!
You're ruining the memes on Livestream, bro.
Yeah, oh, right, okay, I'm just spoiling them. These guys have paid cash money to their internet provider to come and watch me live stream. But anyway, lads, so the story of me playing my paladin was one that you'd expect. I did all of the standard stuff. I ran across the wetlands and got killed by dragonmore orcs and got raped by crocodiles. Not actually, that didn't actually happen back in the Burning Crusade. But it was fun. I had great times. I had loads of adventures. I was in a guild at one point. I don't know why I'm mentioning this, but there was a guild on Skullsplitter EU that I was in called Shelob's Hair. I don't know why. I don't know if that's like a cocktail or something in like edgy goth bars, but it was called Shelob's Hair. And it was a cesspool guild, don't get me wrong. It was the first guild that I ever joined, and I thought it was real cool. And I've just actually remembered a story that I need to tell. But anyway, back to the paladin. There's only one...
I'm going to interrupt for a second, mate.
Go on, man. Interrupt, mate.
We have a schedule, and it's got a lot of stuff in it, but...
We want the stream to be over by 9 a.m.
Yeah, I think I'll literally be dead of an alcohol overdose by the time fucking
Mate,
all of these stories end.
You're on strongbows, mate. You'll have to drink about 40 of those bad boys.
Hey, I'm English, mate. I can't handle it.
He's English. You know you want me. You know I'm English. Anyway.
All I'm going to say is do the story.
Yeah.
Maybe do your main story.
Okay.
And then we'll play the game.
Alright, okay, bud. Okay,
Alright,
mate.
I'm not trying to fucking... I'm not trying to steal your thunder, man.
Alright, man. So, the Paladin. One very quick story about the Paladin. It's the only story worth telling on the Paladin. Is that I did a Scarlet Monastery Library run. And I think that Scarlet Monastery Library is the one that has Houndsmaster Loxy or whatever he was called. And I'd been playing my Paladin. I was 13 years old. I had no idea how to play the game properly. And I thought that Holy was the best spec to play as. I thought Holy was awesome because, like, you want to be some sort of, like, cool Crusader, right? That's what I thought. Like, if you're Holy, you're going to be like some Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade type deal. Like, you're going to be doing Holy Pa, psh, all of that kind of stuff. Didn't realise that Holy was the healing spec. I thought that it was the DPS spec. I don't know why. It didn't tell you at the time. It's not like now where it tells you which spec is the prot, which spec is the healer, which spec is the tank, which spec is the healer, which spec is the DPS. So I got invited to this run, and back in the Burning Crusade, as some of you will know, there wasn't a proper looking for group system. There was like this tool, kind of similar to the pre-made system today, where you could list what it was that you were actually going to do, whether you wanted to be a DPS or a tank or a healer. And anyway, I put myself up as a DPS because that's what I wanted to do. I knew that damage was damage and healing was healing. But I was spec'd as Holy. But here's the thing. Back then, I believe, you could pick talent in multiple trees. And I had activated Righteous Fury. I'd activated Righteous Fury, and for some reason, because I thought it was cool, I'd also spec'd into Improved Righteous Fury, which back then was a fairly early talent in the protection tree that would increase your threat generation and decrease your damage. Now let's think about this. There's a guy who wants to queue for a dungeon as a DPS. He's spec'd in the healing spec. He's listed as the healing spec.
Oh,
and whoa! Hold the phone. Big Yaroslav with the big Czech dollars. Slamming it on the table, laying it down. Man, this stream isn't good enough to deserve that, Yaroslav. Thank you very much, my friend.
I don't even know what 50...
I don't even know what the currency is. Is it zloty? No, that's Polish. Shit, I'm being racist, man, by accident. I don't even mean it. Thank you so much, Yaroslav. That's awesome, man. I really appreciate it, dude. What an absolute legend, dude. You're going to get at least 50p of that. After conversion rates, etc. You know that.
But it's like, do we even know if that's worth 50p?
Bro, you can't be saying that.
I'm not being nasty.
Jonathan! I know people come here for the edgy comments, but what a nasty boy. Anyway, so I was in Scarlet Monastery, and Scarlet Monastery back in the day was the shit. You've played classic World of Warcraft, you know how cool Scarlet Monastery is. You saw Asmongold level into like 40 levels by just spamming Scarlet Monastery over and over again. You know that it's awesome. And Scarlet Monastery Library was a really good dungeon. It was one of my favourites. But here's the thing. I had improved Righteous Fury as a talent, which meant that I think it wasn't even just damage, JD. It was also spells. If you used spells, it would generate threat. Because obviously as a paladin, a lot of your damage and a lot of your abilities, they're not like attacks, they're spells, right? So if you're casting something like Consecration, that's a spell. It's not like an attack. It's not like you're a Chad warrior using like Revenge or whatever. So anyway, everyone wants to talk about you.
That's because I'm the lady killer.
Oh right, that's actually you. I see.
That is me.
Ah, I see. Well anyway, so the point is that we got to Houndmaster Loxy, and all the way through this dungeon, the tank had been making nasty comments to me. And I'd done dungeons before, and sometimes people would make, they would insult you, they would troll you, all that kind of thing. And I knew that I wasn't very good at the game, but I didn't realise how bad at the game as a 13-year-old I actually was. And this was to be my first real taste of how much of a shit player I actually was back then. And basically, I got a message from the tank. It started off as a whisper, and the whisper was, "Yo, dude, can you turn off Righteous Fury?" But he didn't say Righteous Fury, he said RF. He just said RF. He was like, "Can you turn off RF?" And at first I was thinking, this motherfucker must be like trying to message someone else. It must be an accident. Like, what the fuck is he on about? Then, about 5 minutes later, caps lock. "Dude, fucking turn off RF now." I messaged him back and I was like, "Man, like, what are you on about? I don't even know what you're talking about." Then suddenly, 3 seconds later, party chat. "We need to kick this paladin." I looked around. I looked at the roster of the 5 of us that were in the team, and I realised I was the only paladin, John. And the tank had just said, "Kick the paladin." And I was like, "What? Not me? How can you be saying kick me? I've been doing good. I've been doing damage. I've been putting down Consecrate. I've been judging people. I've been hitting Judgment. I've been doing the seals. I put Blessing of Might on people. What have I done wrong?" And the guy's like, "We need to kick this paladin. He's got fucking Righteous Fury on." And then the healer, who I believe was like a priest, he was like, "Yeah, he's actually got Righteous Fury on." And I looked at my kind of like what's it called, like my buffs bar at the top right of the screen near the minimap, and I saw that I had something that was called Righteous Fury. Here's the problem: at that time, I didn't realise that you could click off buffs. And Righteous Fury was an ability that you would cast once and then it would be on you until cancelled. I did not realise that you could turn it off. And I think I'd had it on for so long that I didn't even realise that it was an ability that I'd used. I thought it was just the fact that I had this improved Righteous Fury talent. So I was like to them, like, "Dude, Righteous Fury's a talent, I can't turn it off." And they were like, "Oh my god, will someone put this fucking idiot out of his misery?" And I was like, "What the fuck do I do? I can't turn it off." The tank was like, "Turn off Righteous Fury. It's an ability." And I was like, "It's not an ability, dude. It's a fucking talent. What are you on about?" And anyway, I got kicked. And I didn't play the game for about a week after that, John. I felt really bad about myself. And that's basically the first point that I realised that I had no idea what I was doing in game. And it was also the point that I realised that I didn't want to play Paladin anymore, because I had no idea what I was doing. And to be honest with you, anyone who levelled a Paladin back in like Vanilla in the Burning Crusade, it wasn't very fun. So I knew that it was time to re-roll. And what came out around this time, boys? Anyone in the chat know? We're talking at this point, we're getting to, I want to say autumn 2008. What came out around autumn, early winter 2008? Does anybody know? Does anybody know about something that might have come out in World of Warcraft? John, can you tell me? Do you know what might have come out around then in WoW?
Carry on, mate. I was fucking opening a can for Yaroslav.
Mate, you've been opening cans for the ladies. I'm just waiting to see if the boys know what came out at the end of 2008. Do you know?
I know the story, so I'm just going to say fucking...
What was a Draenor were you about to say?
Well, I hope so.
2008, man.
2008 was probably...
Talayan knows what it's about. It was Wrath of the Lich King. So Wrath of the Lich King comes out. You're a 13-year-old boy. You've been playing a paladin for 6 months, leveling in Westfall by killing the scarecrows over and over in the same field. I think it was Saldine's farm for 4 days because you didn't know how to level properly, getting kicked out of dungeons, getting lost in the sunken temple. awesome dungeon, by the way. What do you think happened when Wrath of the Lich King came out? Yep, you already know it. Vaclav knows it. Talayan knows it. Everybody knows it. You've all called it. I re-rolled to a Death Knight. What race do you think I played on my Death Knight? My first ever Death Knight, mate.
Alliance or Horde?
Alliance. We were Alliance at the time. I had hope that I was going to play with Dave at some point.
Oh, bless.
I never did, by the way.
Bless.
He was already playing Naxxramas. He was already doing Naxxramas, listening to the old guys talk about how good it was back in the day.
Me.
So let me hear what the people say. So
I'm gonna say dwarf, by the way. I don't
say dwarf.
Well, I don't know. I'm just gonna say dwarf.
It was a night elf. It was a night elf, Death Knight. Oh god, I was basically Nixium. Guys. I played a night elf Death Knight, and the night elf Death Knight was called Akarai. Akarai, Lord of unholy death and disease, master of plagues and frost. And I played a Death Knight, and the Death Knight starting experience, by the way, was almost as good as the first day that I ever played WoW. Fantastic. It's awesome, isn't it? Do you remember the first time you ever made a Death Knight?
Yeah.
It was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you were an adult, your testes had dropped at this point, so you weren't blown away by it, but it was cool, right? I assume they had dropped.
Well.
You're well. Shouldn't assume. But anyway, I played an elf. Played an elf Death Knight, but this is the thing. At this point, I was starting to realise I was never actually going to play with Dave, with the guy that got me into the game. And I was starting to get a bit of an itch, JD. I was starting to get a bit of a desire to go to the dark side. I realised that my time as an Alliance player, as a human paladin and an elf Death Knight, it had a shelf life. There's one quick thing I want to say here, and this is really sad. I didn't actually get into the Burning Crusade. I didn't actually level a character in the Burning Crusade until I made this Death Knight. That's really sad. It took me 6 months, basically, to level my Paladin, and then I went straight to Death Knight and went straight into Hellfire Peninsula. That was the first experience I had of going to the Burning Crusade, was in Wrath. Very, very sad, right? But at this point I realised that I was never going to get to play with Dave. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm never going to get to play with Dave, what the fuck am I doing on Alliance? I don't want to play on Alliance anymore. Alliance was alright, but I wanted to see what the game was like on the other side. So I re-rolled. And I re-rolled and made another Death Knight. Because back then, I really didn't want to have to level all the way from 1 to like level 80. I wanted to start like at least halfway. So I decided to make a new Death Knight. And this time, I made a Death Knight that was a Tauren Death Knight, also called Akarai. I went from Night Elf Death Knight to Tauren Death Knight, mate. 13-year-old boy wanted some beef. Wanted some beef on the plate, mate. It was an all-white Tauren Death Knight called Akarai. Because I thought, like all 13-year-old boys do, that the bigger your character was, the cooler it was. No overcompensation. None of that was going on.
Okay.
I just thought it would be cool. Taurens are cool, right? And back then they had the old pre-WoD Tauren models, and the pre-WoD Tauren models were cool. You could be like Cairn from Warcraft 3, which I played, by the way. But here's the funny thing. I played Warcraft 3 about 3 years before I ever played World of Warcraft. Didn't actually realise until about 2 years into playing WoW that it was the same franchise. I thought they were completely different games. Don't know why, just thought they were. But anyway, I played a Tauren Death Knight, and I capped at level 80 as a Tauren Death Knight, and I started learning how to play the game. I started getting into it a bit. Unfortunately, the point at which I actually started to get into endgame content was the point where gear score and linking achievements truly became a thing. And honestly, as somebody who's played the game for that length of time, I can't think of a bigger paradigm shift in the nature of the game from like what it was like in the past when it was very much like a role-playing game to the modern accessibility as when gear score and linking achievements to let people join pugs became a thing. I played many private servers back in the day, like classic private servers, and I know that it isn't just a thing that's modernity. People had best in slot lists in the past. But once you got into mid-Wrath, everyone was just wanting you to link gear score and do you have the achievement, and it was ridiculous. People were wanting you to link the achievement for having cleared a raid so you could join a pug to clear the same difficulty of the raid. How the fuck does that make sense? You want to do a raid of like Nax Ramus normal mode 10 man or something like that? Well, if you don't have 25 man, mate, if you don't have the achievement for 25 man, we're not going to let you join this 10 man pug, so you'll obviously not kill it. Well, it didn't make any sense, and you couldn't join actual guilds because guilds were even worse. And plus, I was still like 14 at this time. I didn't want to join a guild. I knew they wouldn't take me. Most guilds were like 16 plus only. So I carried on, and I played all the way through Wrath. And then we get into Kata, and we're moving on a little bit. And now we get to the story of the Troll role-playing guild. John, can I ask you a couple of questions? What do you think? What springs to mind for you when I use the phrase troll-only role-playing guild? You've got the face of a man who is very scared.
Voodoo and juju.
There was a lot of voodoo going on, some of it of the bad kind. People were coming to get the voodoo. So, I was going to quit WoW. I'll say it. It was early Kata, I was going to quit WoW. The reason why I was going to quit WoW was basically that I was bored. I tried to get into endgame, people had rejected me. I was shit at the game, and I didn't want to admit it to myself. I was at that point that we all get to, when you realise how bad you are at this game. And I was going to quit. And then I watched a video, and it was a video by fucking Jesse Cox. It was a Jesse Cox video. And it was Jesse Cox with WoW Krendor doing the roleplay. I think it was Crimnox and Spoodle or something like that. I don't know if any of you guys remember it. This was the first I'd ever heard of roleplay. And I thought, like, I didn't even know this was a thing. I didn't even know people did this. It could be quite cool. So I decided that I was going to give it a shot. I thought, well, why not? Let's try roleplay. So, back then, to join roleplay guilds of a high quality, they had their own forums. A lot of them still do. And I went and had a look at a few of them. And I won't say what server I was on. Just remember that it was Yes, Oliver, unfortunately we are going to get to that. But it was EU. And I thought, you know what, fuck it. I'll give roleplay a try. And I created a troll character and joined this role-playing guild. And honestly, it was like starting WoW for the first time. Because I never realised that people could actually do this. And if you had a game... if you, like... were in a guild, like a role-playing guild, that also did stuff like PvP and also did like raids and stuff like that, then roleplay just made the experience complete. Because if you were somebody who was into like the fantasy side of these kinds of games in the first place, then suddenly you found yourself in a position where you could get like all of the sort of character ideas that you had for your character and flesh them out. And this guild wasn't a weird guild. It wasn't like a Goldshire type guild or anything like that. It was a really good quality guild. They did some awesome stuff. It was a really fun guild. And we had some fucking good players. Say what you like about role players, but here's the thing. A lot of the time, people that are really into roleplay have been playing the same character like fucking 10 hours a day for 15 years. These people love their characters. They have a bond with their characters that most of us can't even understand, and we should be envious of it. And I joined this guild, and I had some really good adventures with this guild. And one of these adventures is a little story that I'm going to call The War. Yeah, that's it. The War. We're going to talk about the war, John. We're going to talk about the war. So, one of these days, we had a roleplay event. It's kind of like when you schedule a raid event or something like that. And basically the way it would work is that an event would go ahead on the calendar a few days before it was going to come out, and you would know what was going to happen. It might be some sort of ritual, it might be some sort of journey to a different troll territory, whether it's like Zulaman or Zulmashar or Zulfarak or something like that. In this case, we were all going to go to the Gurabashi Arena. We were going to go to the Gurabashi Arena, and we were going to do duels. We were going to duel, and it was going to be actual fighting to see who were the best warriors in the guild. That was the theme, right? And this guild was a really successful guild. Like, there were like 200 people in this guild, and we would regularly get 20, 30 people turning up for events, which is quite a lot when you consider that we're talking about like multiple events through the week, lasting as long as a raid easily. So we went to the Gurabashi Arena, and it was supposed to be dueling, And we started dueling. And then before you know it, suddenly one person dies, and I saw that their character had died on screen. I was like, what the hell was that? And then I realised that a load of Alliance players dressed as the Scarlet Crusade came into the Gurabashi arena and killed all of us. So we all rezzed, because the graveyard is not too far away from the arena. We came back, and a lot of the people in our guild knew what they were doing, so we wiped these guys. But the next thing we knew, a load of people came on, and more Alliance guys turned up, and they wiped us. Here's the thing about role-playing guilds. Role-playing guilds are like hotels. They talk to each other. They know each other. They schedule events together. And our guild knew an orc-only guild on the same server. And what we ended up doing was, our guildmaster messaged their guildmaster and said, dude, our guild is getting wiped by these Alliance dudes at the Gurabashi arena. We need some serious backup. Can you guys come and help us out? And they did. And next thing you know, about 10 orcs, all in orc-themed role-playing gear, showed up. This was in Cataclysm, by the way. So it was like transmog and everything had become a thing at this point. So next thing you know, you've got about 30 of us guys. You've got half of us are trolls, half of us are orcs. And we're doing the same thing. What are you doing? Oh, alright, I see. You just popped it out. You just whacked it out. But anyway, you got half orcs and you got half trolls. And we start fighting. But this is the thing. This was an Alliance roleplay guild we were fighting, and they were doing the exact same thing. Before you know it, another 30 people turned up from miscellaneous Alliance guilds on the server. And this server was really well balanced. It was like 60-40 in favour of Horde, I want to say. But that actually made it good for the Alliance, because it meant that a lot of the Alliance players on this server, because it was RP PvP, were PvPers masquerading as role players so they could kill role players. So, before you know it, you got 50 Alliance guys. So we got in touch with a couple of other guilds. There was an Undead only guild, there was a Blood Elf only guild, and there were some other guilds that just took anybody. And we suddenly ended up having like a 100 on 100 brawl in the Gurabashi arena. It was fantastic. It was the sort of thing that you just don't see in the game anymore. It reminded me of that video from way back in the day. It was like 40 Shamans versus 40 Paladins. It was that sort of thing. We won, of course, because we're the Horde. But anyway, this guild was fantastic. Things like that would happen all the time. It was so fun to play. You never knew what was going to happen. And I got to an officer rank in this guild because I raided with them. I got into raiding with them. I got into doing PvP with them, and I roleplayed with them. So I was online all the time. And I was still at school at this point. I was like 16 or 17, but I was still at school. So I was around a lot. I had a lot of time to play the game. And here's where we get the weird story. This is where it gets a bit weird. So as soon as I said troll roleplay guild, you guys knew it was going to get weird. And this is where it gets a little bit weird. And I love this guild. This guild remains to this day the most fun guild I was ever in. But we had a guy, and we're going to call this guy, let's call him Nalarak. As in the dungeon boss from Zul'Aman, or the raid boss from Zul'Aman. And his name was kind of similar to that. We're going to call him Nalarak. And Nalarak was a troll warrior. And Nalarak had joined about 6 months after I had joined. And he became quite a prominent member of this guild. He was a well-known guy. He was well-liked. He was popular. He would regularly come to our raids as a DPS, sometimes as an off-tank and all that kind of stuff. So he was very popular. He came to a lot of roleplay stuff. And he was probably going to be made an officer at some point. About, I want to say 6 months after Nalarak joined. So I'd been in for a year at this time, he'd been in for 6 months. We got a new person joining this troll-only roleplay guild. And I want to say that this person was a female troll mage. I don't know if that's what they were, but I want to say they were a female troll mage. And this person became quite popular, because as you can expect in a role-playing guild, when people know that there are females playing the game, girls, mate, actual females.
The femmes.
Yeah, the femmes, the ladies. The lads get a little bit curious, get a little bit interested. And we had a few people interested in this girl, and not in a nasty way, not in a weird way, just chatting to her and stuff like that. And on the actual internet site that we had for this channel, we had like on the guild site that we had, the internet site where people could apply, we had like a real picture thread. And people could post profile pictures of themselves. And I did this, and loads of other people did this. And anyway, this new girl... Are you posting naughty things in the chat that I can't see? Let me have a quick read. Anyway, this girl posted her picture. And this girl was very attractive. A very attractive girl from the Netherlands, mate. From the land of waffles and the ganja. The long bottom leaf.
Waffles from... No. Waffles from Holland.
I think they are. Are they from Belgium? Am I getting mixed up?
No.
Well, they're from the Low Countries anyway. But anyway, she was from Holland. And she was a very attractive girl, like by objective standards, right? And this obviously just made the guys even more interested in her. But the thing is, and you can probably see where this story's going. The thing is that there was an interesting thing, is that Nalarak was a very active player in this guild. He played quite a lot. And this female troll, she was also quite an active player. But here's the thing, guys. Something didn't quite add up. Something's not quite right. An illusion, if you will. These two characters, these two role players, were never online at the same time. They were both very regularly active players in our guild, but they weren't online at the same time. You can probably see where the story is going. Anyway, one day I'm sat at home playing Skyrim, as you did, because we're talking 2012. Skyrim was the bomb back then, as you'll all know. And I'm just in a cave killing some charmer or whatever they were called, you know, getting some chitin, trying to upgrade to some like ebony armor or something like that. Playing a Dunmer rogue, I think, actually, so it wouldn't have been the ebony armor. I think I was just trying to go for some glass armor or elven armor or something like that. And I got a message on Skype, and it was from one of the girls in the guild. And she says, I think Nalarak and Female Troll are the same person. And I just was like, what are you talking about? People don't actually do that. That's the stuff of myth. People don't actually do that in WoW. And she was like, no, look, it all adds up. They're never on at the same time. She never joins VC. He's always in VC. They're both from Holland. It makes a lot of sense. And I was like, no, this isn't actually true. And she was like, look, I'm friends with a guy who's really into this female troll player, and he's getting quite upset because he feels like he's in a love triangle with her and another guy. And I think that isn't right, because I believe that this female troll player is Nalarak. And I was like, I still don't get it. And she was like, just tell the other officers about it and see if any of them know anything differently. So I messaged the guildmaster, who's a very good friend of mine, and I told her, X person thinks that Nalarak is this person. And I just left the message. I logged off, finished what I was doing in Skyrim. I think I went to bed, school the next day, came home. Yep, turns out that was the same person. Yeah, turns out that this was the same person. This troll warrior and this troll female, so Nalarak and this Dutch girl, it was the same person. It was the dude. And if I remember correctly, it was somebody that he knew IRL and must have been into or something. And he'd been role-playing as her, both in-game and out of game, for some sort of like, I don't know, like some sort of like attention or validation. I've got no idea. I cannot understand why you would do it. And the weirdest thing about this is that there were like two guys in the guild who were essentially in love with this girl. Because they'd seen her picture, they'd been playing with her for months. They thought that they were in, you know, and you know what us nerds are like. And yeah, we ended up finding out that this was like the same person. And the guildmaster kicked him. And for some reason, this caused a lot of controversy. And it ended up kind of leading to one of the reasons why the guild ended up splitting up. But that remains to this day one of the weirdest stories that I have in the game. Just the fact that somebody would do that. Not because it's a bad thing to do, but just like, I can't think of the processes in your head. Things must have been really weird for you to do that, man. I remember at the time, I thought it was really, really, like it is a genuinely spooky story. I remember at the time, like I actually thought to myself, that's kind of creepy, because he was pretending to be somebody that he actually knew. And I think that it was somebody who went to his college or something, because he was like in his late teens, early 20s. And it was a girl that went to his college, and he'd basically like taken a photo of her or something and was living like this double existence. And this went on for a long time. I want to say this was going on for months, man. But anyway, that's the story of the Troll Guild. But I want to finish that story by saying that that guild was fantastic. It was a really good guild. There were some awesome people in there. There were some friends that I met there that have been friends for years now, and I have only good memories from it. There came a time where roleplay just didn't really interest me anymore, and I moved on from it. And that will finally get us to where we've been heading the whole time, which is the story of how JC Denton started playing with Vulgrin. Now, John, you've been doing the technical side of the stream. You've been the master and commander. I've been the captain. Right? I'm going to go for a tinkle. I'm going to finish my rum. I'm going to let you briefly talk about yourself.
Oh, don't do it, mate.
I'm going to go for a wait. I'm going to leave you at the helm, sir.
Oh,
Don't get us banned. Tell us briefly about how me and you first realised that we were both into the same sorts of things. Not sexual. Video game wise, I'm talking Skyrim and the like. Go ahead.
Jesus Christ, I really don't know what to say.
Talk about when I came to your house and saw you playing Skyrim.
Yeah, just tore up you fucking. Alright, I'm trying to edit something and also speak at the same time, so I'm sorry, bros. But yeah, Vulgrin got me into WoW. He came round to my house. As you know, I'm the coolest guy around, so I got everyone, all friends to my house. Yeah, and God, sorry, I'm not as good as Yap Yap.
You killed anyone?
Oh, it's all right. He's.
I'm back. No, carry on. I heard what you were saying.
No, I literally said I was cool, and then.
No, we all went to your house, didn't we? So we were friends at school.
Yeah, we were friends at school. Basically, we were in the same form. I don't know what. Did we say this earlier on?
Yeah, we did. We only introduced it because I briefly said how we knew each other. But we were in the same form at school. And there was a group of friends that all lived in the same area as you, wasn't there? And I kind of latched onto you guys like a limpet.
Yeah.
Like a hermit crab, finding a new shell.
Yeah, well, we I was in a strange village. We had a lot of kids my age for some reason.
Yeah.
We must have been busy that summer.
It was the summer of '94.
Well, yeah.
And I basically became mates with you guys, didn't I?
Yeah, Josh was.
Really good. Whatever.
Well,
yeah.
Vulgrin was in the same form as me, and
basically what happened was that JC Denton, JD, he had a big house. His house was big. It was also in the middle of nowhere. We're talking some serious, creepy Luigi's Mansion type house.
You got to mention.
I've got to mention. Is it Teals? Is that how you say it, Teals? Is it Theals or Teals? Teals Tjorven? Vaska Ulien? Teals, man. Of course I'm going to give you a big mention, dude. You're the man. Big Josh! Not that Josh. Not that Josh. Not the bad one. I'm a nice boy.
I don't even know what that means.
They're referring to He Who Shall Not Be Named. I'll tell you later. Anyway, dude. Have you put yourself... Is that Randy Orton?
No, bruh.
Alright, okay, bro. Anyway. So basically, JD, he lived in this house that was in the middle of nowhere. There was the village, and his house was kind of separate from the village. And you had to go down a drive, a proper little farmer's drive to get to his house. So all the lads would go to JD's house because from the age of 16 we could do what English lads do best, which is already develop fetal alcohol syndrome for our future children by getting alcohol poisoning in our teens. So what we would do is we would develop a bit of a camaraderie where a lot of us would go round and we would get a little bit boozed. And one of these times I went round to JD's house and I saw that he was playing Skyrim, and I'd been playing Skyrim non-stop all this time. So what we would do is we would Why did you do that? Why did you do it? But anyway, I went round to his house, and I had that moment that some of you have also had when you realise that one of your best friends is into the same things that you're into. It was so weird, because back then, like, I was really insecure about the fact that, like, I was into video games and stuff. I thought that I was a massive nerd, and we're talking like 2011, 2012 at this point. But I still felt really insecure about the fact that I was massively into games. So when I came round to like my mate's house and saw that he was playing Skyrim, and he was playing Skyrim more hardcore than I was. You were doing like Dragonborn at some point. At that point, you basically looked like Ned Stark. Your guy was that bedecked in armor.
Well, I think I was an orc back then, bro.
You were an orc. Zug.
Zug.
Dabu.
You can't be a troll in Skyrim, so I had to choose your class.
It's a good thing you can't be a troll.
Your race.
A troll in
Not class.
a troll in Skyrim is a bit different from a troll in WoW. Seeing as a troll in WoW is like the Steven Seagal. He's like a martial arts master, whereas a troll in Skyrim is like Cartman when he entered the Special Olympics. It's a little bit strange, so to speak. But anyway, I came to JD's house and saw he was playing Skyrim, and I knew at that moment that we had something that we didn't realise that we had, and it's not true love. It was an interest in video games. And at that point, I hatched a cunning plan, and that was that I was going to get one of my real-life friends to play World of Warcraft. Now, this took a few years to manifest. What essentially happened was, we did get interested in an MMO, didn't we, mate? An MMO was going to come out, and we were very interested in it.
The best MMO of all time.
The greatest MMO experience of all time. We were both interested in the Elder Scrolls series. You can see where this one's going. We were very interested in the Elder Scrolls. And if you think that we started hanging out a lot more from 2012 onwards. We played a lot of games together. We started playing Outlast, the original Outlast we played together. We played Condemned together, Condemned Bloodshot, I want to say. We had a lot of fun punching people as a drunken detective. We had a lot of stuff, right? But what ended up happening was, around 2013, there was a buzz developing about an up-and-coming MMO. An MMO. Cyberphonics has got it. He's hit the nail on the head, John. He knows exactly what we're talking about. It's the Elder Scrolls Online. You've hit it. 2014 era Elder Scrolls Online. One of the worst MMO launches of all time. That shit was awful. It was so bad. But we were both into the Elder Scrolls, and I was really into MMOs. So I was super hyped that my best friend, because he was my best friend at that time.
Right. Just back then.
No, I meant that's where it started, man. Don't get hurt. But anyway, that was the point where I realised that we were going to get into an MMO together. And we both pre-ordered the Elder Scrolls Online, all in its like £75 glory. And neither of us worked back then. I think you worked, actually, but I certainly didn't work. So £75, that was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. It was pretty much the same amount of money you would pay if you wanted to buy the Sprite Darter's Wings and a 6-month subscription right now. Big oof, by the way, to anybody who did that. But we got into the Elder Scrolls Online. JD, how would you describe our experience in early April 2014, I believe it was, playing the Elder Scrolls Online? How would you describe that?
It was the best experience of my life, man.
You see, I think about it a little bit differently. The Elder Scrolls Online was scuffed, to say the least. We encountered a lot of problems. The biggest problem that we encountered was the fact that the main reason why we were playing it was so that we could play together. And even though we were invited into a party together, one of us wouldn't be able to see the other. All that we could see, I don't know if any of you boys remember this, but all that we could see was an arrow where the person was supposed to be. It was almost like the game was trolling us. It was like saying, yo mate, it's over here. See this, where I'm pointing with this arrow? That's where your friend should be. Can you not see him? Oh, can you not see him? Well, you should be able to see him, mate. Oh, you can't? Oh, well, what are you going to do? You've already paid 75 quid for the fucking game. That's basically what we were looking at on launch of the Elder Scrolls Online. So we played the Elder Scrolls for like, how long? Maybe like a month, I want to say, if that. You played it for a lot longer, but together we played it for a very little amount of time, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got really bored, and the main reason why I got bored was that I'd seen a trailer, boys. I'd seen a trailer in 2014 for a little thing called Warlords of Draenor. Now, put a 1 in the chat if you watched the trailer for WoD and thought that it was the best trailer since Wrath of the Lich King, or the best trailer that Blizzard ever made. Put a 1 in the chat if you thought that it was the best trailer they ever made. And let's see, mate. Whilst JD photoshops us into wrestlers, I'm just going to see how many people put a 1 in the chat. I'm just going to pour myself a Captain Morgan's. Take a little pause from the entertainment. Oh yeah, why is the rum always gone? Yep, they're all putting 1s in the chat, John. You saw it. What did you think when you saw Grom put that fucking axe in Manaroth's head for the first time?
It was badass, man.
It was fantastic. Grom Hellscream is basically Alex Jones in orc form. And he put that axe straight into Hillary Clinton's... Anyway. So, I watched that.
Spencer's. He's mentioned the KFC and I don't even want to eat him, man.
Well, the KFC will be alright, Cole, man. We'll take a break after the stories. We can't take a break from entertaining these gentlemen. True. These lads, these loyal boys have watched us talk. Well, me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't even fit any chicken in between your mouth. Between them.
What the fuck? Between words? Can't even fit any chicken in your mouth. These lads, these heroes have watched us. They've watched me talk shit for an hour and a half. The least we can do is finish this story. Bless. But anyway, Warlords of Draenor's trailer had launched, and it was so good that I even showed it to my mother. She didn't appreciate it as much as me and JD did, but she thought it was pretty cool. So at that point, I was thinking, this is going to be awesome. Paul Wilkinson, are you still in the chat?
Yeah,
Paul,
he is.
Let yourself be known. I know he is. Paul, a story is about to be told. It's the story, Paul, of how you made me spend about £100 in server and faction transfers for a family guild in Warlords of Draenor. And this is where the story of Vulgrin and JC Denton and Paul really begins. It's also the story of where Vulgrin really begins, to be honest, because ironically, despite the fact that I've been playing the game since 2008, it was WoD where I actually became a decent player of the game. So, Paul, did you just snigger at him? What a dickhead. Fuck's sake, bro. Oh my god, that's such a powerful measure. I feel like I'm sipping raw peroxide.
Oh, I only poured it about like an hour and a half ago.
My lord, I feel like I'm drinking Eminem's hair dye from the early 2000s. Here he is. Here he is, Paul. Everybody in the chat, Paul Wilkinson, there he is. He's responsible for this story. So, Warlords of Draenor was about to release, and I thought that this expansion was going to be the one that saved WoW. I should say that I'd taken a break from WoW through most of Mists of Pandaria, because like most people, I thought that Mists of Pandaria was fucking AIDS. And I'll say it that simply. It was actually a really good expansion on reflection, but the fact is it had fat fucking pandas as the theme, and it had nothing to do with the original lore or story of World of Warcraft. And I absolutely hated Mists of Pandaria for that reason.
I thought you were about WoD for a second.
No. WoD had good lore. WoD had Lords of War, my friend. But Mists of Pandaria, I just wasn't happy with it. I had come back and I had raided in Siege of Orgrimmar and stuff like that. But I just really didn't like MoP, sorry. I really didn't like it. I thought that the theme was so off. I'd played a lot of it at launch. And for me, up until then, Warcraft had always been about these super over-the-top, half American, half European fantasy themes. And then they went straight into this really strong fantasy Asian theme, and I thought, there are a ton of Asian MMOs out there. Why are we playing a game where it's all about like happiness and rainbows and big fat fluffy pandas? As like a teenager, I thought it sucked. And then when I saw the trailer for WoD, I was like, yes, this is it. My penis is erect. And we were going to go in. JD, for some time, had been playing The Elder Scrolls Online on his own. And I distinctly remember you were playing a Khajiit warrior. Oh, you're playing a Nord warrior, but with a Khajiit helmet that literally looked like a KFC bargain bucket turned upside down and shoved on your head. Can you confirm that that's what the helmet was that you were wearing?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's true. So anyway, I got JD into WoD. It's a long story short. I got you into WoD, and do you remember that first night? When you first played World of Warcraft?
It was the Hearthstone night.
Yeah, I groomed him into playing World of Warcraft by getting him to play Hearthstone. because Hearthstone's a free game. It's easy to play a couple of games of Hearthstone, nothing like that. But the thing is, he got hooked. I don't know whether it was that he saw Garrosh's chiseled abs, or whether he saw Jaina's pre-Chinese nerf breasts, but he was quite interested in the Warcraft lore, and so we started playing together. And around this time, I started my second... What have you put me as? Oliver's saying that I'm even more thick. Who is that? Is that King Kong Bundy? In Action Man form? What have you... I've just noticed what you've been doing this whole time.
Well, at least they're looking at the actual picture. I've got to update every once in a while.
A good man. You've got to keep it on with the technical acumen. Well, anyway, we got into WoD, and we started playing. JD wanted to play Alliance before he went to Horde, as is the same with all new players. Some of us, unfortunately, never make the transition to the adult faction, but we ended up playing Horde.
My Horde.
But here was the weird thing. I started the second year of university at this time, and I moved in with a bunch of lads. It was a great decision, one of the best ones I ever made. These were an awesome group of people. And they had a friend. And they had a friend whose name was Paul. And Paul played World of Warcraft. And I met Paul in the first week that I was living with these dudes. And it didn't take long for us to, pass the question. Like, oh, do you guys play games? Yeah, I play games. What game do you play? Oh, I play a little bit of World of Warcraft. Oh, wow, so do I. Before you know it, Paul has essentially signed me up to his Alliance raiding guild on a server called Lightbringer. Lightbringer on the EU side of things. I'd never heard of this server before. Turns out there's a good reason for that, because Lightbringer has about 40,000 characters on it. Not accounts, not active players. It has about 40,000 ever created characters. Lightbringer EU is a dead realm. Paul didn't tell me that it was a dead realm at the time, did he, JD? Well, he might have done, I can't remember actually, but anyway.
I don't know, I never knew at the time.
But the thing is that here was my opportunity. Here was my opportunity to raid once again. I was going to raid with some friends. So I said, Paul, you know what? Let's play. And Paul said, what do you play? And I said, Paul, my friend, I main an undead rogue. And Paul said, fuck that, mate, we're on an Alliance server, you got to change. Either change your race and faction, or change to a different class. And I said, fuck changing to a different class. Rogue is the best class that God ever created. So he said, fair enough, because I've got a raid team pretty much lined up, ready to go. As soon as WoD launches, Highmaul's coming out, we're popping. It's like a SEAL team. It's like SEAL Team 6. Except there's like more than 10 of us, so we've got a team. We've got a team ready to go. So I faction and server changed my rogue to a Night Elf rogue on Lightbringer EU. And I joined Paul's guild. Except it wasn't actually Paul's guild. It was a family guild. Wasn't it, John? It was family friendly and it was family run. This fucking guild, man. This guild consisted of, in terms of the active membership, it consisted of Paul's friend, that we'll refer to as... What should we refer to him as?
I don't even know.
The GM. We'll refer to him as the GM because that's what he was. He was the GM. So Paul, the GM, the GM's mother, and the GM's mother's partner. There were other people that played the game, but they were so inconsequential that I don't even remember who their names were. It doesn't really even matter. So Paul has gotten me to spend, I want to say like £49. Big, fat monies, cash, real life gold. And you know that Vulgrin loves his gold. To transfer. And I transferred from the master race of a death mantle wearing undead rogue on a populated Horde server to a shitty, lanky, Legolas wannabe Night Elf rogue on this dead realm. And I didn't realise it was a dead realm at the time, and I joined this guild. Now, most of you would be thinking, Vulgrin, why didn't you just turn around and run the other way? The answer is because I was an idiot, and some would say I still am. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to make this work. Because around the same time I was getting JD into the game. And I thought, JD, let's get you into the game, into a guild like this. And JD said, yeah, fuck yeah. Because what were you doing in WoW at the time that I was getting into this guild, mate? What were you actually doing in World of Warcraft?
I don't know what I was doing.
You were on your dwarf. What were you doing before I saved you, before I scooped you up and told you to boost that character?
Sorry, I was doing max level content, wasn't
I think you were doing Brewfest, mate.
I? Yeah, that's what I just said.
Max level content indeed, guys. You heard it first. Brewfest daily quests on the dwarf hunter called Durumbar. And what was your transmog at that time, sir? Can you relate to them all? What you were wearing on your dwarf hunter at the time of the Brewfest? I'll save him the trouble. He was wearing a full Brewfest outfit on his dwarf hunter. And I said to him, JD, come and play with me. So JD was playing a dwarf hunter called Durumbar, a dwarf marksmanship hunter. So we got JD into the guild. You can see how the A team is forming at this point. We had me, Paul, who was playing a druid at the time. He was playing a resto druid. You had the GM who played a warlock, the GM's mum who played a paladin, and the GM's mum's partner, I don't know what he was playing. And I was going to play a rogue, except at this point I realised that there was only like 6 of us in the guild that were going to raid, so playing a DPS wasn't going to get us anywhere. And at that point I realised that I also had a warrior. I had a warrior. I had an alliance warrior. And I decided at this point to do something that changed my life. I decided that what this guild needed wasn't a DPS, wasn't a rogue. This guild needed a hero. This guild needed a prot tank, a main tank, a warrior. And I was going to be that warrior. I'd heard tales, I'd watched videos, I'd watched The Legacy of the Warrior by Mike Preach WoW. Do you remember Mike Preach WoW, JD?
Never heard of him.
Never heard of that YouTube channel before. I watched a video called The Legacy of the Warrior. I'd also watched a video before that, by the way, called The Top 5 Scumbags in WoW, which was also a major influence on me. But I watched a video called The Legacy of the Warrior, and I thought, you know what, this class sounds awesome. This class sounds so cool. And this team need a tank. So I decided that I was going to re-roll to a prot warrior. And I sent my prot warrior over. So Paul was responsible for me faction and server changing a rogue that I never even played once WoD launched. And then he was also responsible for me server changing a warrior. But I did play the warrior, you see. I decided that I was going to play a prot warrior as the main tank in this guild. And they needed the tank because they didn't have any tanks. So that's what I ended up playing. And I don't know if any of you played a warrior or any tank back in WoD, but tanks in Warlords of Draenor were the shit. It was so much fun. Blizzard back then had an idea that they seemed to have buried long before Shadowlands. And that idea was that if you were playing as a tank, you should be practically unkillable if you performed your rotation okay and you were being healed by a decent healer. And Paul, despite his many sins, he's a good healer, guys. He knows what he's doing, I must confess. So anyway, WoD's around the corner, and this is what we've got going on here. We've got Glandriel. His name was literally Glandriel, by the way, like as in the gland or the glands. That was Paul. He was playing a druid. Night Elf druid. Male, by the way. No weird boys in the chat. Durumbar. Dwarf marksmanship hunter. Firing arrows on a daily basis.
That's a bit of a Chad class, isn't it?
Dwarf hunter. Absolutely, mate. Packing heat. Gimli, son of glowing. Gimli!
Thank you.
We had the GM. Human male warlock. Not bad. I can tolerate it. GM's mum. Female ret human paladin. Okay. Can tolerate it. GM's mum's partner. Don't remember what he played. Don't even remember his name. Sorry. And you had Vulgrin. Except he wasn't called Vulgrin at the time. You see, this was an earlier iteration of the big V. And that stands for Vulgrin, not Virgin, by the way. That was Korvax. I was called Korvax, and I was a night elf. I don't know what the fuck was my thing with night elves. Night elves are not cool. Sorry, they're not. I should have just played a worgen or a human or something like that, man. Or a dwarf.
Alliance is hard to be... Like, we'll divert for a second.
Okay, let's have a diversion. An intervention.
Yeah, you know, we'll we'll lengthen this story a little bit, mate.
Pan it out.
Yeah, we don't.
It's not like we've been talking shit for like 2 hours or anything. Carry on.
Alliance is hard.
In what way?
The human is the best race,
Absolutely. Asmund Bald plays a human.
but it's boring.
It is boring. It is the fucking cheese sandwich. It's the Lunchable of classes. Of races, I should say. What about the gnome?
No.
No. What about the dwarf? Depends on the class.
It's okay.
Dwarf warrior? Yeah. Dwarf hunter? Yeah. Dwarf priest? Maybe in classic WoW. The night elf, though.
I mean, I've been listening to
Well of Eternity. War of the Ancients.
War of the Ancients, and it's cool.
Some of that actual RP. Some of that story.
Yeah, I mean, listen to that. I like the Malfurion.
Malfurion?
The Jared.
Jared.
Da.
Jared from Subway.
Yeah, Jared.
Jared
Worgen's okay, as Oliver said.
Worgen's pretty good, but the problem with Worgen is that no helmet works on a Worgen. I noticed this because when Kada came out, I wanted to play a Worgen, and I thought there are two classes that work on a Worgen: Warrior and Rogue. Because you can be like, what?
Because they're the best classes.
That's true. It's true, man. But true. Actually, now that I think about it, you made a good point. Troll Warrior, yeah. Troll Rogue, absolutely. Zul'jin. Vengeance for Zul'jin. Orc Warrior, yeah, Grom. Yeah. Orc Rogue, people say no, but think about it. Garona for the girls, for the ladies, and Kargath for the boys. Torren Warrior, yes, big beef. Torren Rogue doesn't exist. Blood Elf Warrior, no. Just no. But Blood Elf Rogue, yeah, very crisp. And the same with the Alliance.
Well, yeah, I was going to say we're on about Alliance here.
Yeah.
I never listened to half your shit you said.
Oh, fucking hell, mate.
I'm
anyway,
sorry.
Proceed.
I'm a savage.
Proceed, mate. Yeah, trolls.
We'll carry on. Worgen, yeah, it's a cool race. I think that, like, armour doesn't look very good on a Worgen.
The animations are crisp, though. And the race as a concept is very cool.
Yeah, definitely being like a werewolf.
I'm going to throw a curveball in. I want your opinion.
Okay, preach.
You have to go there.
I'm sorry.
Here we go. Draenei. What's your opinion on Draenei? And this goes out to the chat as well. What is your opinion on Draenei, males and females? Do they work or are they just weird? JC, tell me.
I wouldn't play one myself, but I think they are pretty cool.
If you're going to play a shaman, you've only got a couple of choices anyway, and I think that a Draenei shaman is a pretty sick choice. I think it can be a sick choice.
I'm not into
big hoofs for the ladies.
Okay, rubbish.
But anyway,
no, I was going to say shaman for an alliance. I don't really get.
Yeah, paladin for the horde as well. I kind of don't get. I mean, I know there's blood elves, but like, I think that it was always kind of cool. Karaoke Azuki says, I love female Lightforged Draenei paladins. We all know why you love Lightforged Draenei females, my friend.
Well,
and it's got nothing to do with their in-game potential. You're getting extracurricular pleasure from that particular race class combination. But anyway, Alliance is a hard thing, as that's what you're saying. It's a hard choice to pick because some of your races, they're just like, you've got the choice between boring human variants and then ugly ones, right?
Yeah. Worgen. I mean, Worgens are cool, as I say, but the armor's not. I don't think the armor's great. I mean, the new character creation for Worgen.
Yeah.
Rogue looks cool.
You mean with like the Exiles Reach set?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think what else there is. I mean, there's Night Elf. As I say, I listened to the War of the Ancients. Night Elves are pretty cool.
They've got a cool death sound.
Listening to that.
You know when they die, they go, yeah! Moving on. Female Night Elf animations, by the way. Very good. The damage ratios do stupid damage so far in pre-patch. To be fair, that's a good thing because more people need to play Alliance. All jokes aside, like this faction imbalance is not a good thing. It's really not good for the game. But yeah, we've talked about Draenei, we've talked about Worgen, we've talked about Gnomes, as in we've not talked about them because there's nothing to talk about. We won't talk about Pandaren because they're neutral and no one plays them.
If you're going to be a monk, then you can be a Pandaren. But
I don't know about that, man. I guess. I know Paul thinks that Pandaren monks are a good choice, but...
No, I'd say they're fine.
Yeah.
I say, I don't know, listening to the audiobooks, bad races sound cooler.
Yeah, kind of. I think that the lore of a lot of the races that people don't play much of in-game is better than the lore of the races that people play a lot of. Like, I personally am not much into the lore of, like, the Blood Elves, but tons of people play Blood Elves. But, like, Tauren, on the other hand, I really like the lore. Trolls, I really like the lore. Gnomes, not so much. Pandaren, bleh, leave them out of it. But anyway, you were playing a Dwarf Hunter.
Yeah.
I was playing a Night Elf Protection Warrior called Korvax. And, you know, it was pretty decent. I was really happy with it. Again, I was saying before that talk about undead. Someone wants us to talk about undead. We would be here a long time if you let me talk about undead. We're not going to talk about undead. I love undead. In-game, that is. I'm not a necrophile. Anyway, so I was playing a Night Elf Protection Warrior. And honestly, I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just warriors, but tanking in WoD was so fun. And the Protection Warrior in WoD was absolutely amazing. There was something about it, man. It was just... It felt like it was just about doing damage. And you had Gladiator stance and stuff like that. Does anyone remember Gladiator stance? It's a loaded question. Everyone remembers Gladiator stance. But we joined Paul's guild. And, it was a little bit weird. There weren't a lot of people in Paul's guild, but this is the thing, we had time. We had time before WoD launched, and then there was going to be like 3 weeks between when WoD launched and when Highmore came out. And I'd learned all of the tactics for Highmore because Fat Boss had been putting out their guides like weeks and weeks in advance. And I've been showing them to JD and we've been watching them together, and it was great because he was going to go straight into raiding when he started playing the game basically. And it was a very hyped time. It was really, really cool. The problem was, though, that we knew that we had to recruit, and I didn't realise until this moment how dead this server actually was. This server was ridiculously hard to recruit on. The guild master, he wasn't particularly helpful. I think that the guild master didn't really mind whether or not we raided, because his family essentially had had this guild for years, I assume, before we started with this raid team. And they were just treating it like a sort of social guild. It was going to be a social guild, and if there was any raiding, there were going to be social raids as well. And that tells you everything you need to know. But here's the thing. Your boy Vulgrin, he wanted to rise above this. He wanted to enter the big leagues. I was sick and tired of being told to turn Righteous Fury off and all of that kind of stuff. I wanted to ascend. And I was playing a main tank for this guild now, so I wasn't just going to give up on it. So we started recruiting, and we managed to recruit a few people. Then WoD came out, and we started to recruit people in dungeons as well, because back then the way that you geared up was through heroics. That was the way that you geared up for raiding. And to be honest with you, all of this crap about like Mythic Plus and leveling up artifact weapons and leveling up necklaces and all that shit, I'll be fucking honest with you. Leveling up and getting all of your gear through heroic dungeons prior to the launch of a raid, at that time, before the dungeons get old, super fun. Apart from the Everbloom, by the way. The Everbloom is a terrible, terrible, terrible dungeon. But we were doing this all the time. What are you saying, mate?
I'm saying I don't remember the Everbloom.
That was the green one. It was the one where it was all about plants. You know, at the end you go through a portal to Stormwind City and there's like a giant like Bulbasaur like... Aah! That one. Still don't remember it, do you?
Nope.
Okay. Anyway, so we were doing the heroics, and we were just more hyped than ever. Like, at this point, you've got to understand, for those of you who played it, WoD was amazing. For the first few months, WoD was amazing. I remember somebody once asked me, are you going to play like private servers or something now that WoD's out? Are you going to keep playing them? Because I'd been playing some private servers in Mr. Pandaria towards the end during the drought. And I said no, because honestly, Warlords of Draenor, to me, seems like the best expansion I've played since Wrath of the Lich King. I genuinely said that. I said in like November 2014 that Warlords of Draenor was the best expansion since Wrath. And that's kind of tragic, not because I was so wrong, but because it could have been like that. And it went so very wrong by Blizzard. Well, at that time it was really good. The leveling in WoW was the best we ever had. We had the Lords of War cinematics drop, and that was some high energy, high testosterone stuff. And then straight after the Lords of War, we had the leveling experience itself. And I'll tell you what, Frostfire Ridge, the end cinematic, when Duratan's brother sacrificed himself so that Drekthar could close the pass, and even better because we were playing Alliance, the Shadow Moon Valley end of leveling cinematic, where Valen sacrificed himself to turn the Void God, the Dark Star, into an actual Naru again. It was awesome. And you had similar things like this throughout. You had when Murad sacrificed himself in Talador, and you had like Nagrand, where Thrall kicked Garrosh's ass, and to be fair, that wasn't really right. They did him dirty, didn't they, John? They did Big Gaz dirty. But the whole experience was great, and it was all building up to High Maul, and everybody was ready for this. Garrisons at the time were awesome. We were in this guild, and we'd been doing dungeons to gear up, and the dungeoneering at the start of WoD was fantastic, especially UBRS. Remember that with the Leroy Jenkins questline? Where you had to, what was it you had to do? Did you have to like get him from the Whelp area in UBRS to like the end of the dungeon within like 15 minutes or something like that? I'm pretty sure that was the quest, right?
I'm trying to remember.
I think that was it. I think it was that Leroy...
I'm mixed up between Leroy and Conan, so...
Conan was in the slag works, the Bloodmaw slag mines. And I think the thing with Conan was that you basically... He was on like a wheel of pain, like in the actual film, and you rescued him, and then you got him to like the other side of... There was like 4 bosses or something, and you got him to like the opposite side of the dungeon, kill the boss, and I think that was Conan. But Leroy was UBRS, and you picked him up where he starred in like the actual Leroy Jenkins clip, and you walked him all the way through to the end of the dungeon. And doing stuff like that was fantastic. I remember I had like the Onslaught set tier 6 on my warrior, that was my transmog. I had the Bulwark of Azeroth, obviously, on my offhand. I had what's called the Cho Rush Blade in my main hand. I don't know why, but like the Cho Rush Blade is a sword that comes from Diamol, and everyone that I spoke to, including Paul and JD, thought that it looked whack, but I thought it was really cool. But anyway, we had that transmog, and we were recruiting people in these heroics, right? And I thought it was awesome. We got a couple of people in there. One of the people that we got was a guy called Jericho. Not Chris Jericho, unfortunately. It might have been, but he was Swedish, so I doubt it. Jericho was a Draenei male shaman, and Jericho was a really good player. He'd been playing the game for years, and he joined us. We also had his brother, who played a DPS Death Knight. I think he was Two-Handed Frost. Two-Handed Frost back then. I think what was the last time where you could be Two-Handed Frost? His brother was playing that. We also got a dwarf rogue that I'm going to call Logar. His name wasn't Logar. It was something similar to that. I can't remember it right now. And we got a South African female druid. So we had pretty much everything we needed at this point. Jericho was playing a Draenei Resto Shaman, so he was our second healer, alongside with Paul, with Glandriel. We just needed a tank. And the tank that we got eventually was a Draenei Paladin Prot tank, and his name was Terminar. And before you knew it, ladies and gentlemen, we had everything we needed. We had 10 people. We had me, main tank, Prot Warrior, Terminar, off tank, Prot Paladin, Glandriel, Resto Druid, healer, Jericho, Resto Shaman, healer. I think we had a Priest healer or something as well. We had the Rogue DPS, the Death Knight DPS, we had JD on his Hunter, we had the Guildmaster on his Warlock, we had the Guildmaster's mum on her Rep Paladin, and we had the Guildmaster's mum's boyfriend on whatever the fuck, I don't care. That was it, and we had enough people to raid. And then before you know it, the time finally came that High Maul released. And the story of High Maul release will be coming up right after this short break, because my god, my voice is fucked, and we've been talking really, really fast for a long while. So take 10 minutes, boys. Have a wee, have a piddle, get yourself a beverage, have yourself a smoke break if you need one, and we will be back at, should we say about 10 past 9?
Say 5 past, mate.
We'll be back at 5 past 9, boys. This is the mid-raid break. And when we come back, we will tell you the story of the worst WoD raiding guild you will have ever heard of. And how I rose to not killing normal mode Margok. But we'll get there. Okay, guys. Short break. Hey boys, we back in business? Can you hear me? Can you hear your man Vulgrin talk? Let me know, and we will proceed with the tale of woe and WoD. I'll give you all a moment. JD's just finishing up downstairs, and we will commence. Alright, okay. Vaclav can hear. You're all in the mix. Oliver can hear. Vaclav can hear. Very good. Okay. So, let me try and proceed. Warlords of Draenor launch was a really good time. It was actually a really good period in the history of WoW. Prior to the dark times, as we'll call them, of the content drought, when we all realised that the game was essentially just going to be being stuck in your garrison for months on end, raiding just 3 raids for over 2 years, we knew that at the start, WoD had potential. And when Highmaul released, it was really, really apparent. Basically, when you rocked up to Highmaul, I don't know if it was for you guys, but for us, when you rocked up to Highmaul, the place was completely covered in players. We had people packed wall to wall, Alliance and Horde. I believe that Lightbringer EU was a PvE server, so there was no PvP going on. But we just had I've got to say 200 players, something like that, queued in the sort of the outside tiers of Highmaul before the instance portal, if you know what I mean. And I didn't expect this. I had no idea that it was going to be like that when we turned up. And when we did, and we saw that this was the case, it just made it an even more special experience. And for me, it was a big test, because I'd put a lot of energy into forming this raid team. And I've got to say it now, Paul did as well. Paul was on the forums too. JD put a lot of time in as well. And we were basically finding people by doing heroic runs. And if somebody joined our pug who wasn't in a guild, we would just invite them. We would just say to them, dude, are you looking for a guild for when raiding starts? And some people would be like, nah man, I'm just playing it cool. And some people would be like, yeah, I've just been kicked from my guild because I'm a bad player. Or they'd be like, I'm looking for a guild or something like that. I've just come back from the game after years of not playing, and that sort of thing. So we got a few people into our guild. And it was around this time that I started to realise that there were other problems with the team. Now, I don't remember what the original best-in-slot pre-raid eye level was for Highmaul. JD seems to think that it was something like 615 or 600.
Yeah,
and
I believe. In my opinion, well, not my opinion, but my memory, 600 was normal, 615 was heroic, and 630 was normal Highmaul.
Okay, so 600 was normal dungeons, 615 was heroic dungeons, and 630 was normal mode. That's what JD thinks. See, I thought it was a bit different. I thought that 630 was heroics. 640 was your kind of crafting gear and the starting ring that you got and stuff like that for the legendary ring. Oh,
sorry, bro.
Super Mario music. But anyway, it was something like that. And basically, I'd said to everybody, look, it's easy for you to get this raid eye level, this eye level before we go into Highmaul, because you get this from doing the heroic dungeons, and you're going to get the ring, and you might even get a bit of crafting gear here and there if you've got a lot of money, or if you've got a crafting profession. It wasn't too difficult to get at least one piece of crafting gear. And if I remember correctly, the crafting gear was of epic quality and was 10 eye levels higher than the average eye level from the heroic dungeons. I also said to everybody, it's not too difficult for us to get enchants, flasks, potions, and food, consumables for the raid. It's not a difficult thing to do. You can get that on the auction house, you can craft it for yourself, you can ask in the guild. Some of us have different professions, it'll be easy enough to do. Turns out for these guys it wasn't actually the case, because when we stepped into Highmaul for the first time, to my recollection, we had 4 of us were fully enchanted. I think that I had the Mark of the Shattered Hand. I think that was the enchant that I had on my axe or my sword or whatever it was as a prot warrior. And I had full enchants. I had consumables. I had flasks, I had all the standard stuff that you'd expect anyone who was going to go into a raid to have, right? This is just how it goes. We know how to play the game. But the thing is that I didn't understand the raid guild that I'd just joined. And there were people in this raid guild that had no interest whatsoever in having any of those things. JD, were you enchanted?
I mean, I think I was.
You don't even need to ask that question. JD was enchanted, according to him. I think he was. I think I'd raised him right. I'd raised my boy well. Paul was enchanted because Paul had like a good bit of gold, and you know he wasn't a bad player either. He'd been raiding for some time. He'd been playing the game for years as well. Some of the other people though, and I want to mention the Guildmaster's mother, and a couple of the other people that we'd kind of brought into the guild didn't have any enchants. They didn't have the pre-raid best in slot eye level. They didn't have any consumables. It wasn't very good. But, you know, live and let live. What are you going to do? Not raid? Of course not. So, we stepped into High Mall. And for those of you who can remember, the starting sequence of High Mall is a master work of MMO design. When you go into High Mall, you go into the basement beneath the arena. It's like Gladiator. It's like your Maximus Decimus Meridius, father of a murdered son, husband of a murdered wife, and you will have your vengeance on Imperator Margok and all of his fat, tubby ogre cronies. That's basically what it feels like when you step into High Mall for the first time. You're in the basement, and you go on this platform, and it gets raised up, and you're onto the arena floor. You're in the sands. It's some straight up Spartacus stuff, just without any sex, unless you go on Rule 34. Anyway, you go into High Mall. The first boss is Kargath, and this is really dumb. I thought that Kargath was going to survive High Mall because I'd seen the Fat Boss guides where on like all the difficulties he like escapes. And I thought, oh great, because Kargath's a super cool character, he'll come back in a later patch and maybe help us or something like that. Didn't happen. We killed him on like the third or fourth attempt. Now that in itself should tell you something. Kargath Blade Fist on normal, heroic and mythic difficulty is a walk in the park. It's really, really easy to kill Kargath. Kind of sad, but it's very, very easy. We killed him on our fourth attempt, meaning that it took us 3 wipes to do this, and this was mainly due to the fact that we had some people in that raid group who had no business stepping into a raid. They just were not prepared. I'm very proud to say, though...
You are not prepared.
Indeed. I'm very proud to say, though, that JD, he wasn't one of these people. You were prepared. You knew what you were doing. It did help that you were playing a marksmanship hunter, because marksmanship hunters had a special ability, didn't they, JD? That was very useful for clearing packs, and often got dungeons wiped. Does anybody know what ability I may be referring to? It was mentioned in the So You Want to Play Hunter video. Anyone can think of an ability, a talent to be precise, that hunters have that can get teams wiped, but can also clear a lot of ads. I'll give you another hint. It's a cone cast ability. It's a channeled ability. It does a lot of damage. I'm of course talking about Barrage, and basically the bit on Kargath where you get sent up into the stands, it was super useful to have an MMO hunter. It was really good. You could target the guys that you needed to kill in the stands very quickly and then switch to the other side very quickly. And JD actually demonstrated that he was a good player. He got very high DPS, and I think he was one of, if not our top DPS on Kargath, which was really awesome because obviously he was the person that I had personally got into the guild, and he was my mate, and you know I wanted him to be cool. It turned out he was, kinda. So we killed Kargath. Then we went on to the Butcher, renowned as the DPS check boss of High Mall. And here we hit our first wall. Yeah. What can I say about the Butcher? The Butcher is a DPS check, but the Butcher's not just a DPS check, he's also a tank check. I can't remember the names of any of the debuffs that the Butcher casted, but he did this thing where he would put a stack of a debuff on the tank, and I think that it just made you take more damage from it. It was basically a patchwork fight. And once you got to 3 stacks of this, you needed to get your off tank to taunt the boss, so that he could get his 3 stacks, by which point your stacks will have dropped off and you could swap back, and we did this. Meanwhile, there were points on the Butcher where, I can't remember why specifically, but you had to jump in and out, didn't you? You had to like come really close to him and then basically move back out to the ranged group.
I'm sorry, man. I'm probably like your viewers. I wasn't listening.
Okay. You're a polite man. You're a very good friend, John. You're living up to your reputation as a troll rogue, let me say it that way. But just to explain, I don't know if
Which
you can...
boss are you on about?
The Butcher. Do you remember how on the Butcher you did a thing where you had your 2 tanks, then you had a group on either side,
Yep.
and then you had the healers. And there was a bit where you needed a person from each group to move in close to him to like take a debuff.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would go to everybody.
Yep.
And then they went back to the group. And it was another mechanic where hunters, just like I said in that video, hunters' mobility was super useful because you'd run in, then you disengage back, right?
Yep.
It was another mechanic where JC shined, JC Denton over here. He was just doing everything that I was asking him to do. I was very, very happy. The problem is that we didn't have the DPS, largely because people didn't have the required eye level and didn't have the consumables. So anyway, we wiped on the Butcher on the first night. We didn't kill him. I was disappointed. I wanted more progress than that, but you know, we got one boss down, so you can't be fully disheartened. I genuinely think that if we hadn't killed Kargath, that raid team would have disbanded then and there. But we killed Kargath, largely due to the three of us, because we knew what we were doing. We had a solid healing team. Paul was a solid healer, Jericho was a solid healer. DPS was where we were lacking, because even though JD was decent at what he was doing, one DPS can never compensate for a whole DPS group in a raid. So, what ended up happening was we came back the next raid and we killed the Butcher the next raid. This is where you get your first taste of tank drama. Now, those of you who play Classic will know that warriors like their gear. Like the gear a lot, especially if they're tanking. And the Butcher dropped the best in slot tanking weapon. I think it was called the Butcher's Bloody Cleaver. It was a one-handed strength axe. Pause for opening can. Crisp. But the Butcher's Bloody Cleaver was the best in slot weapon for a tank. It was your main hand axe. It also looked really cool. It was epic. It was awesome. First time we kill the Butcher, the first weapon that drops from Highmore for us is the best in slot tanking weapon. And it's going to go to either me or Terminar. Now guys, let me appeal to your sense of logic, your sense of honour. Tell me now. If you're in a situation where you've got a main tank, that's me, and an off tank, and the best in slot tanking weapon drops, who should get that weapon? Guys, who should get the weapon? I want to see what the chat thinks about this, JD. Because to me, it makes total sense. If there's a main tank and an off tank, and the best in slot tanking weapon drops, who should get to have that weapon? It's a simple thing, right?
Well, I mean, you need to have your tank and your off tank at about an equal level, so I'd say
Yeah, well,
gear probably compensates for skill level, mate.
okay, well, in some raid guilds that might be the case, but not in this one, which basically means I got it. See here, Talayan understands. It's the prettier one. It's the best looking tank, and that was me. So I got this one-handed weapon. It wasn't Hunter Loot. It was not Hunter Loot. Fortunately, at that time, hunters could not use melee weapons, saved ourselves a lot of drama, and lost friendships there. I gave the weapon to myself. We had a loot council. Never ever join a guild that functions on a loot council, unless you are very, very trusting. Loot councils are dubious, because a loot council is made up of a set number of people, right? And typically those people are the guild master or the raid leader and the raid leader's friends. And here's the thing, guys. I was the raid leader and the people in the loot council were my friends. So I think you can kind of understand what happened with the Butcher's Bloody Cleaver. Anyway, basically, it came to me. I took it. And Terminar was a little bit salty, but you know what? He understood. He was a bro about it. It helped that he was about 2 years younger than me and was playing a paladin, which is obviously a less masculine class to begin with. So, you know.
He was 2 years younger.
He was a young boy. He was a teenager, Terminar. He was younger than us. Because that was one of the things that I used to, mock him for. Anyway. So, we continued playing. And we cleared the Butcher. I got this weapon. Then we tried to kill Tectus. Tectus had a few strange mechanics. One of them was that he would put a debuff on a DPS player, which would basically put a snail trail on you, not that kind of snail trail, and you'd have to run round the back of the DPS group and drop this debuff on the ground and make sure that no one stood in it. Very bad if you've got DPS players who aren't very good. And he did another thing where one player had to tank the ads, and the other player had to tank the boss himself. So it was also a bit of a tank check again. Terminar kept dying. It might have been because of the fact that I've been siphoning gear from him the whole time, but you know, that's me giving him the benefit of the doubt. What ended up happening was he was dying on the ads and I was tanking Tectus. So I said at some point, right, okay, maybe these ads, they were the little golem guys, the pale orcs, whatever they're called. You know, the guys that ran like Gollum, they used to hang around with Cho'Gall and stuff like that. They were really difficult in Highmaul for some reason. So I said to him, you know what, you tank Tectus, I'll tank these ads. We did that. We killed Tectus, all good. Tectus dropped shit loot. I think he dropped like ridiculous amounts of leather gear, and he dropped a staff. Well, didn't really matter, because here's the thing. You know how I said that the Guildmaster played a Warlock? For some reason the Guildmaster kind of like quit the game at this time. And I got a little bit salty about that. See, the ego, as you probably can already guess, was growing pretty large. And I essentially said to the team, the Guildmaster's not coming to the raids. I'm taking on all of the pressure of essentially running the team. Everybody leave the guild and we'll form our own guild. And that's what we did. We left that guild. We'll call that old guild Minions. That wasn't its name, but it was something kind of similar, which should tell you what we're talking about here. And I created my own one, which had an equally edgy name, by the way. I was a 19-year-old and I was an idiot. So, all the team joins my guild. My ego's through the roof. You know, oh yeah, I've killed 3 bosses in normal Highmaul. Such a Chad, right? Not really, obviously. So, we then went on to Brackenspore. This is where stuff starts to get a bit funky, because you see, Highmaul was the first raid that Blizzard had clearly designed for between 10 to 30 players. Flex mode had been a thing in Siege of Orgrimmar, but it was its own difficulty form. In Highmaul, they made it so that it was the system that we know today. There was normal mode, LFR, heroic, and mythic. And both LFR was as many people as you could get. Normal and heroic mode were up to 30 people. And then mythic was your 20-person max, as we know. So Highmaul was the first raid where they were designing it, where the majority of players were running it with between 10 to 30 people. The problem with this is that they didn't really base it on 10 men. They didn't base any of the encounters as being played by just 10 raiders, because they thought, there's no way that a team's just going to bring 10 people if they could bring 30. Brackenspore was the biggest case of this. Brackenspore was a fight that was clearly designed for like as many motherfuckers as you could bring, because Brackenspore was a fight with tons of mechanics. There was ad switching, there were these giant fucking mushrooms coming out of the ground, there was these huge ads, these Zangarmarsh style ads that would come in, these big fungal guys, and the more people you had, the better it was, for a simple reason. If you're in a situation where you need to get 2 DPS to perform a mechanic, and you've got a raiding guild of 10 people, 2 DPS is not only 20% of your raid team, that might be literally like more than a third of your DPS. If you're in a raiding guild with 30 people and 2 people need to do the same mechanic, that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. It's less than a tenth of your raiding team. It might be a tenth of your DPS, right? So try to do Brackenspore on a guild with like 11 or 12 people with only like 1 or maybe 2 hunters. Super difficult, and we found Brackenspore to be another massive hurdle. And it became very obvious that the only way that we were going to be able to actually kill Brackenspore would be if we got pugs into the fucking guild. Basically, we pugged people in, and that's what we did. And I hated this because I really wanted this to be a guild only run. I wanted to feel like it was master loot back then, you know. I wanted to feel like any loot that dropped was going to go to people that were in the raid team, that were going to help us progress. It was progression in my mind, even though it was just normal mode. It was a terrible raid team, but for me it was our progression, and I really cared about it. I put so much time into learning these fights. I put so much time into learning how to tank and learning my spec and learning, you know, how to play the game at that level. I spent all of my gold having the enchants, and I was getting people consumables and flasks for my friends and potions and stuff like that. So I really wanted to keep it within the guild. But the only way we were going to kill Brackenspore was if we pugged people. So we did it. And we found that hunters, ironically, were really keen on playing in pugs for Brackenspore. And I thought to myself, why was that? Like, why would you play a hunter on Brackenspore? Why were people so keen? And then it was pretty obvious. It hit me square in the face. It's because hunters were getting shafted by Blizzard because there was only one ranged weapon in the entire raid, and it was called something like Brackenspore's Branch or something like that.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. It was like
I mean, I wanted it for ages, but I can't even remember what it was called.
yeah, who cares? Who remembers the name of an item like after Wrath of the Lich King? But anyway, this was the one bow, the one ranged weapon that dropped from the entire raid. And so obviously your boy JD desperately wanted this bow, not least because he knew that the raid was in dire straits. There was no way that we were going to clear the content unless the DPS went through the roof. And he wanted to get this bow because he'd been stuck with the heroic bow, and even though he'd been rocking the DPS, he knew that sooner or later the Death Knight, God, I was going to say Demon Hunter, oh, not at that point, the Death Knight or the Warlock or somebody else was going to get a weapon that was going to give them a DPS edge. But the thing was is that we did Brackenspore a few times, and we were reluctant to do it because it kept meaning that we had to invite pugs, and then we would have to get rid of the pugs after Brackenspore was killed, and it would take extra time. Valuable raid time that we wanted to progress on, and we knew that Brackenspore and Tectus, you essentially had a choice which one you killed. You didn't need to kill both to progress onto the Twin Ogron. So anyway, we ended up getting about something ridiculous, like 10 more people to raid Brackenspore with. So the guild, like the pug team, swelled massively. And oh, by the way, thank you very much, Fat Clab. I really appreciate that, man. That's really nice. Thank you. I hope you're enjoying it. It's the first one. It's a little bit scuffed, but I think we're both very much new to this, but I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying it. I hope that the rest of you are enjoying this as well. But essentially, we had to get a lot of people to kill Brackenspore, and it wasn't really worth the effort, especially because, like, the only thing worth getting from Brackenspore, other than, you know, your usual stuff like tier gear and like braces and stuff, who gives a fuck about them, was the bow. And the bow never dropped. And I swear, we must have killed Brackenspore like 3 or 4 times, and the bow didn't drop, right?
Yeah.
We did kill it several times, didn't we? I don't know if Paul can remember.
Well, he might shine us up here. We don't know.
Yeah, he might do. But we killed Brackenspore quite a few times, and the bow never dropped. And each time, it was getting like so impatient in our guild, because you were just getting like saltier and saltier. You were keeping it, you know, well under wraps. It was like, come on, I want my fucking bow.
Are we running Brackenspore tonight or what?
That's it. It was like, hey guys, this is a Brackenspore run. Anyone doing a Brackenspore run tonight? And a lot of the time I would be like, JD, we're not doing a Brackenspore run. We've got to progress. You know how we're going to be wiping on Imperator Margot for like 2 hours. So hey, we can't spend time on Brackenspore, man. You're the only one who needs anything from it. But anyway, like, we killed Brackenspore a few times, and nothing of worth dropped from it. And here's the thing, I was getting pretty frustrated at this point. As I've already said, we basically we in fact did remake the guild. We remade the raid team, and it was still shit. Of course it was. What did I think was going to change? It was still garbage. Nothing changed, and the guild was still bad. But I wanted to kill Imperator Margot. I thought, you know what? If we can kill Margot normal, we'll have cleared the raid on some difficulty. We can go into Blackrock Foundry with our heads held high-ish. Here's the thing, right? We got to 6 out of 7 normal mode. We killed Twin Ogron very easily, I think on our first night, and that incidentally was the last night of raiding before the Christmas break for us. And when we killed Twin Ogron that night, the shield drop, and I think the shield was called Absalom's Bloody Bulwark. I thought it was going to look like the Bulwark of Azeroth. No, it really didn't. It looked like a scuffed Bowser shell. Very, very ugly shield. Once again, guys, the shield's dropped. It's the shield from this raid. I'm pretty sure it was the only strength shield. There was an intellect shield, but obviously, you know, we didn't need that. A strength shield dropped. Best in slot offhand for me and for Terminar. You're probably thinking, you know, Vulgrin, Terminar got a raw deal with the Butcher's Bloody Cleaver. You probably did him right when Absalom's Bloody Bulwark dropped, right? JD, did I, I'm trying to remember, mate. Did I give Absalom's Bloody Bulwark to Terminar, do you think?
I mean,
Do you think I gave him that as the off tank? Do you think that that would be a sensible decision?
Well, as I said earlier, I mean, you've got to keep them a bit equal.
You've got to keep them equal, mate, exactly. And I thought, paladins are massively overpowered, so I'll take the shield. That'll probably be a good idea. After all, he's playing a paladin. Blizzard loves them. I've seen Rextroy's videos. Blizzard massively loves the paladins, gave them stupidly overpowered mechanics. I saw that paladin use, use retaliation or whatever it was called to kill Kazakh in vanilla on his own. I've seen it happen, so I'm going to take the shield. So I've now got the best in slot main hand. I've now got the best in slot offhand. Have a nice night, Oliver. Fantastic for having you around, mate. Thank you so much for coming in the stream. Hope you have a great day, bud. So I've got the best in slot weapon and the best in slot offhand. Kind of fucked him over. And to be honest with you, I was kind of pissed at him at this point because he'd fucked up on Tectus and he fucked up on Twin Ogron. When we killed the Twin Ogron, it was because he died. And I basically was like, guys, we're going to have to wipe this. We can't kill it with one tank. And Paul was like, no, we absolutely can. You can tank it. I can heal it. We had another druid who went Guardian and we killed them. And I was feeling really happy about it. But I thought to myself, I need to replace this tank. Because I was trying to look for all the different reasons why it was that we weren't already on Heroic. So, we got to...
Sorry, you're trying to read and speak it.
I'm trying to read and speak, man, and you know me, I can't read. But anyway, we got to the guy after Twin Ogron on the first raid back after Christmas. But during the Christmas break, we'd been thinking, me, Paul, and JD had been thinking, this guild is scuffed. This guild is a true horror story. It's a family guild where the guildmaster split, where we can't kill Brackenspore on our own, where we can barely get 10 people to raid, where the off-tank's a fucking idiot, where the main tank's an egomaniac. All of this kind of stuff was going on. And to be honest with you, I knew that Blackrock Foundry was coming out. And from the people that were testing, I'd heard some really good things about Blackrock Foundry. And I was very keen to progress to the next level. I was super into WoW at the time. I was a uni student. I had tons of time to play the game. I just wanted to play WoW all the time. And WoD was still good for me. And I wanted to play my rogue, to be honest with you. I was tired of the pressure of tanking. I'd loved it. I loved it for the ego, and I absolutely adored the way that the protection warrior played, both gladiator stance and just the normal straight up protection. But I was tired of having to play this role as the GM and the raid leader and all of the annoying stuff that came with it. Kicking people that I didn't want to kick because they hadn't bothered to get enchanted or consumed after a month of raiding. So, did I just say they hadn't bothered to get consumed? Hadn't bothered to get consumables, that's what I was trying to say. And so I had to kick people and stuff, and it just wasn't cool. And I wanted to relax a bit. I wanted to play my rogue again. I changed my rogue back over to an undead rogue on the Draenor EU server, and that's where I wanted to go. Dude, what the fuck is going on?
Sorry.
And basically, I was tired of it. But I thought to myself, we can get Margok down. We can get Imperator Margok down. It can't be that difficult. And we'd done quite well on Heroic as well. I think we were at like 4 out of 7 Heroic at this time. We'd cleared 6 out of 7 normal, 4 out of 7 Heroic. So it was nothing too bad.
We were Mythic Raiders.
We weren't Mythic Raiders though, were we? We thought we were. But if there was like a mythic level of bad guilds, that was probably appropriately what we were. But anyway, we got to Margok, man, and I tell you what, Imperator Margok was a step above any of the previous bosses. The guy before him was pretty cool, the guy that was like the anti-magic ogre with the giant mace, the one that he had like his like fell and arcane and frost orbs that you had to do stuff with and that kind of thing. The guy had Twin Ogron, you know what I'm on about. That guy was pretty difficult, but then we got to Imperator Margok. And Imperator Margok was a fantastic fight. It was an awesome fight. Like when he did the arcane wave that you had to jump over, and then he summoned in all of his ogres, like the gladiators and stuff. It was awesome. And we'd really invested into Highmaul, so I personally felt invested in like the story and everything. We'd done really well to get here, and here we were facing off against the end of raid boss. I'll tell you what, boys, we just couldn't do it. We just couldn't fucking do it. No matter how many people we poked, no matter how many times we tried, the guild just couldn't do it, could it, JD? And, you know, I remember you saying that you and Paul were trying your hardest to, like, do it in your own time. Because I was saying to people, look, guys, if you can kill Margok on your own time outside of the raid, that's fine, because like at least you'll get some gear hopefully, and at least you might meet some people that might want to join the guild. It was that sad. It was some serious sad vibes, and I was the same, man. Like I was fucking pugging and feeling great about it. And I remember on the sly I was making attempts to join a guild on Horde Draenor on my rogue. And I got the trial in a guild at the same time on the day that we weren't raiding on our Alliance guild on Lightbringer. And they killed heroic Margok like it was fucking Hogger. They killed it like they were running, ICC for a transmog run. They killed heroic Margok with fucking ease. It was crazy. And I felt so bad, because I felt like I'd put so much effort into this guild, and my friends had put so much effort into this guild, and we were atrocious. And I realised for the first time how bad we were. And I thought I was a good player. And I realised that I was just a kind of slightly small fish in an even smaller pond. And we just couldn't kill Margok, man, no matter how many times we tried, no matter how many hours we wiped. So me, Paul, and JD, we hatched a plan. We hatched a little plan. And the plan was that we were all going to leave EU Alliance Lightbringer together. We were going to go on a pilgrimage. We were going to return to the good side of the Force. We were going to return to the Horde. And we were going to go on Draenor EU. And the reason why was that Paul, once again, I don't know why I treated Paul like some sort of fucking prophet, but Paul, I think, had friends on Draenor. He had contacts, mate.
Yeah.
He knew people in high places. They were raiding heroic High Mall.
Hey, I mean, me and you were just friends with each other. Paul actually had like
in-game friends. Yeah, that's it. Me and JD we just had each other. Paul actually had friends like outside of the two of us. So anyway, Paul had said that Draenor was the place to go. EU Horde Draenor, and I thought, you know what, that sounds like a good shout. I'm sick of putting all of this effort in. Let's go for it. And that's what we did. But before we did that, there was a score to settle. Because there was something that hadn't been acquired yet, wasn't there, JD? We tried to kill Margok, we hadn't killed Margok. We killed everyone else on normal mode High Mall. But one thing, one magic item, hadn't dropped yet. And what was that item? The one item that you had been looking for, you've been hoping for, that you've been dreaming about in your little bed when you've been tucked in with your cup of hot milk at night.
I'm sure it was like a ranged weapon.
I think it might have been a ranged weapon. I think it might in fact have been the only ranged
Was
weapon.
it magical? I don't think it was.
I don't think it was a magical weapon. I think it was a weapon for hunters, maybe? Of course, we're talking about Brackenspor's bow that we mentioned earlier. JD was still fiending for that bow. He was picturing that little crab bow with its little mandibles at the side, like going me me me. He'd been picturing it for fucking months at this point. He was having that bow, even though he wasn't sure whether he was going to play his hunter on Horde. He was desperate to get this weapon. So I said to JD, mate, you've raided with me for months. You've gone through difficult times. We've done so much together. And basically, guys, if you want to have a bit of you want to understand what it was like, this conversation that me and JD had. Over Discord, of course. We don't actually talk in real life outside of streams. But anyway, this conversation that we'd had. Do you remember the end of the third Hobbit film? Probably not, because you probably realised after the first Hobbit film that the trilogy was terrible and nothing like Lord of the Rings, but that's by the by. If you remember the end of the third Hobbit film, Thorin Oakenshield, he's gotten that gold lust. He's been seduced. He's gotten the gold sickness. He's gotten the ego. The ego growth has been through the roof. And all of his mates have been able to sit there, all of his raid team have sat and watched as their friends are being massacred, as they are being treated like a joke. And then what happened? Thorin came out, he grabbed hold of Keeley, and he said, "Will you follow me, my friend, one last time?" And I said this to JD with a tear in my eye, and he basically said to me, in his words, "Yeah, but if the bow drops, I'm fucking getting it." And that's basically what the goal was. We were going to raid High Mall one last time, but this time we weren't going to go for Imperator Margok. We were going to go for Brackenspore. We were going to go for the optional 4th boss of the raid because we wanted to get that fucking bow for my friend. I really wanted him to get it because he put in so much time, right? And I felt a little bit embarrassed that I'd invited him to his first ever WoW guild and this was what he joined. But here's the thing. Remember how I said that Brackenspore was basically unkillable with a guild of 10 people in the raid team? You needed like at least 15, 20 was ideal because you needed people to use the flamethrowers to burn the patches of mold on the ground. You needed people to be able to switch targets between the ads and the boss. You needed a lot of people, and the more people you had, the better. The more hunters you had, the better. But the thing is that the more hunters you had, obviously, the more opportunities you had for that bow to go to somebody else. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that people don't appreciate in BFA. And that is that Master Loot is God for a nepotistic, corrupted raid leader like Vulgrin of the Vulgrin WoW YouTube channel. Because, you see, I invited 4 hunters to this pug. I invited 4 hunters to join our Scuffed raid team. And I told them, we haven't been able to kill Brackenspore in weeks. And it's because we don't have enough raiders in our team. And we need more hunters. We only have 1. We only have 1. We need more people if we're going to kill Brackenspore. And they were like, oh, one of those guilds, eh? Well, I'll join. But you got to promise me something. And I was like, oh, anything. Please just join our guild. Just join our pug. You don't need to join the guild. Just join the pug. They were like, if Brackenspore's bow drops, promise it to me. And these 4 hunters basically whispered me with similar things. They were nasty motherfuckers. They whispered me saying things along the lines of, I'll join if you give me the bow. At least I think that's the way it went. I think it's probably more appropriate and probably more realistic if I say that I promised them the bow if they would join us. I said, guys, I'll give you the bow if you join. And anyway, I got 4 hunters who obviously didn't know each other to join the guild, to join the raid team, for this pug run of Brackenspore. And I promised each of them individually the bow. We started fighting Brackenspore. Now, for those of you who remember, Brackenspore had a mechanic where he would put down these mushrooms. Some of the mushrooms were good. I think they healed the raid if the healers would heal them. Some of the mushrooms were bad. They would kill the raid and spawn these patches of mold on the ground that would just continue to grow outwards. And it was essentially like a soft enrage, because if these patches of mold covered the entire shore where you fought Brackenspore, you were dead. It would just give everybody a massive dot and you would die. The way that you could deal with this was you could have your DPS shoot or attack the mushrooms to kill them, whilst at the same time have 2 people use these Iron Horde flamethrowers that were on the ground at the start of the encounter to burn the mold and therefore create safe spaces, if you will, my friend, for the guild, the raid group to stand. The flamethrower, therefore, in this was the carry. We started the fight, didn't we, John? And what did you do? Straight away.
I grabbed the flamethrower, mate.
He grabbed the flamethrower. He grabbed the flamethrower because we had an understanding in our guild.
That's what the hunters did, didn't they?
That was the understanding, John. The understanding was that if you were a hunter, and maybe, I'm trying to think, I think our only other option was like a balance druid where you could do a lot of DPS on the move. You would take the flamethrower because you were the best suited to burn the mold whilst also doing damage at the same time. Hunters were perfect for this because how much damage they could do whilst moving and how much damage they could do to different mobs, like switching targets as an MM hunter and now as a BM hunter is absolutely fantastic.
Well, I mean, I don't play a hunter anymore, but
yeah.
I mean, thank God I was a hunter back then because
we wouldn't have gotten past Kargath, mate. I don't regret saying it. But anyway, JD had the flamethrower, and I think that we had, I don't know if Paul remembers, it might have even been you, Paul, as sad as it is to say. I think we might have even gotten the fucking healer.
Paul ain't watching anymore.
Is he not? Oh, right, okay. See you later, Paul. Anyway, we had another person. Paul split on us, just like with the guild.
Oh.
Anyway, basically, we had JD and another DPS grab these flamethrowers. It might have even been one of these pug hunters. We tried hard, and we killed Brackenspore. Everybody gathered around. His minions were defeated. His minions were destroyed. His mushrooms were sliced up, ready for an English breakfast the next morning. I see him. The off-tank was dead and gone. Many people had died. But Korvax, the Night Elf prop warrior, Darumbar, the dwarf marksmanship hunter, and Glandriel, the Night Elf restoration druid healer, were standing tall. We were standing proud. Brackenspore, the enemy of the free peoples of the Alliance, was defeated. But do you guys remember back when I said that in order to really do this with a guild as bad as ours, you would basically need to pug a lot of people? Well, at this point, about half of the people who had taken on Brackenspore had no idea what the fuck this guild was, had no idea who the fuck I was, and had no idea who the fuck each other was. And they were just here for the loot. More to the point, there were 4 rando hunters in this team that had all been individually promised the Brackenspore bow. I pressed the Z key. I think it was the Z key, it might be the X key. I pressed the key to sheathe my weapons. I pressed the / key. I started to walked towards the corpse of this fungal monstrosity. I was ready. The people in the raid team didn't exactly form a sort of a procession for me to walk through, but in my head, that's basically what it was. They stood around in awe as this Night Elf warrior, bedecked in a really fucking ugly, mismatched normal mode / heroic mode high maul set of plate, with the Bulwark of Azeroth transmogged onto his left hand, and the Chill Rush blade from 2004 Diamol transmogged onto his main hand, walked towards Brackenspore. I right-clicked it. My character knelt down. And there it was. It was a glorious moment. Finally, hours of time invested in this shitty fucking raid team, in this shitty fucking raid instance, in this shitty fucking expansion, which was starting to, become what we all know WoD was. It all paid off. Because there it was. There it was. On the ground was a bow. And it looked like shit. But that bow was epic. That bow was the one raiding bow available on normal mode difficulty in Warlords of Draenor at the time. And all of these hunters started going fucking ballistic. They were like, shit. You know how long I've been trying to get into a high maul Brackenspore run to get this bow? Thank you so much for inviting me, Korvax. Give me the bow. And I was like, excuse me? And these hunters were like, man, I really appreciate you getting me into this run. We killed Brackenspore. I did what you asked me to. Your guild can progress. Now, just give me the bow. And I just put a message in the raid warning chat saying, Darumbar the Dwarf Hunter operated the flamethrower on this boss, and that's the MVP mechanic, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to give it to him. So what I did was I took the fucking bow, I ninja looted the bow to my friend, and we kicked these 15 people from our fucking raid team, and there it was. We were left with our 10 Scuffed players, all of them doing the fucking sad emote, looking at me like, Korvax, why did you have to do him dirty like that? And meanwhile, Darumbar under the table was like, thank you, my man.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
I think I might just get a better bow from the, BRF.
That was it. The funny thing was that Blackrock Foundry was coming out in about 2 weeks' time after this, so we didn't actually need to do this at all, because JD probably would have found it easy enough to get into a decent heroic raiding guild in Blackrock Foundry, and he would have gotten the cool harpoon gun. But as it was, that was the best at the time. So anyway, I'm the reason Master Loot was removed. Accuracy. So, I gave JD the bow. And this is where the stream starts to wind down. You've listened to me talk shit for nearly 3 hours. You guys are the real heroes of this raid. You've listened for a full raid. You could be out there doing Nyalotha, getting your little squid mount with the eyes, but instead you've listened to me, you've listened to Vulgrin talk shit about fucking Highball and Warlords of Draenor for 3 hours. But to summarise, JD got his bow. We never got our Margot kill. Not on those characters anyway. And the next day, I logged in. And I remember I was in my garrison. I was in the Lunar Fall garrison on my warrior. And I messaged Jericho. Now Jericho, he was a Swedish player, which means that he was automatically very good at the game. He'd been playing the game for about 15 years at this point. And I said, Jericho, can you join TeamSpeak for a minute? And he said, yeah. And inside the TeamSpeak was me, JD, and Paul. Kind of like Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli when I think about it. Except, you know, I was playing an elf. Kind of sad. But I said, Jericho, the time has come for you to carry on the story. We don't want to be part of this shit guild anymore. We don't want to be part of this shit raid team anymore. We want to go Horde. Have you just accidentally deleted somebody's comments?
Yeah, I know. Ash.
JD's power's gone to his head. There's 25 people in the chat and he's deleting comments left and right.
I'm being nasty. I'm sorry, karaoke. I'm trying to change it.
Anyway, we basically said to him, look man, like, I don't want to do this anymore. This raid team is not going to kill anything in heroic BRF.
Jesus
I want to do
Christ.
heroic. I want to do mythic. Have you just timed out karaoke by accident?
Yeah, I didn't even mean
Dude,
to.
stop clicking on people, man. Don't hide him.
I'm not.
Yeah, put
Well,
him in time. Put him in time. Put him in time.
Put you. Yeah.
That's
what I've
putting
been.
the time
That's,
out.
that's
Oh,
literally.
God.
Oh, right. That's what it means.
We've accidentally just sent somebody out of the chat by accident. And when I say we, I mean the Dwarf Hunter himself has just done that. Oh my god. Anyway,
I've ruined it.
you've ruined the fun, John. Poor karaoke. Karaoke, we're very sorry.
I don't know how to change it.
Just leave it, John. Just leave it. You've done enough. But basically, the story ends that we all left for EU Draenor, and ironically, we never raided with each other again. And the moral of the story is very simple. I went on my Undead Rogue. I played on Horde. I joined a guild. And they're all pissing themselves laughing at me. I went on
We
Horde.
said it was scuffed.
It was scuffed indeed. It's been very scuffed, guys. But basically, I went on my rogue. JD, you re-rolled to a undead warlock. And Paul continued to play as druid, but now as a troll druid, I believe. Or he might have gone to play as priest at that point in time, as shadow priest. But we all went to Draenor. And here's the thing. None of us ever raided together again. I raided with Paul in BFA, but the three of us haven't raided together since what? But Shadowlands is coming out soon, boys. And you know what's going to happen in Shadowlands? The boys are getting back together. We're putting the band back together, yeah! JC Denton, Vulgrin, and Paul Wilkinson. One of those names sounds a little bit more normal than the other two. But yeah, the three of us are going to play together again, hopefully. God knows how long for, but that's the goal. I went to EU Draenor on my Undead Rogue, and I joined a guild, and I can't remember what it was called. I was just another rogue. See you later, Major. Really glad to have you there, mate. It's awesome. Really glad to have you in the stream. But basically, I joined a guild where they had 30 people. They were crushing BRF.
Shit, you're not going to start another story.
No, I'm not. I'm going to literally end... Motherfucker. I'm ending the story. I'm going to end the story right here. This guild were killing it. But you know what? I was just another DPS. I was just one of the 30 people in this fucking guild. They didn't know who I was. I had no responsibility. I didn't know any of the people. None of them were IRL friends. None of them were people I'd recruited to the team. It's just another trial. And at that point, I basically quit WoW for the rest of WoD. And the moral of the story is, guys, a lot of the time, it's not about how difficult the content is that you're doing. It's not even about how good your guild is. A lot of the time, it's about how much fun are you having with the people that you like to play with. And despite everything I've said, despite this story being about one of the worst guilds in WoD, it's still some of the happiest memories I have in the game. Now, you've listened to me ramble on for a long time. God knows this stream has been scuffed AF, and I've got to thank you all for sticking around. We basically maintained the same viewership the entire time. It's gone between like 25 and 32. And honestly, I can't thank you enough. I think we're going to take this time to just have a 5-minute piss break, and then I think we'll just do a little bit of a Q&A and just talk with some guys in the chat for like maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll call it there. So if you guys want to take a break for like 10 minutes, we'll come.
No, well, I'll tell you what, you take a break. I'm going to try and get in touch with Karaoke because I fucked him over. And I'm also going to... I want to know what Jaroslav's on about. So...
Alright, mate, don't kill anyone. I'm going to go to the toilet. I'll be back in a minute. Try and save Karaoke. He didn't deserve that fate. He was a good man. He died before his time.
Okay, so... Okay, right. Well, I understand then. Jaroslav is looking at the memes. And I guess we will go on a break because I guess there's nothing really for me to say about looking for Karaoke, so I shall find the music, which will take fucking ages. Okay, guys. So thank you for watching. Vulgrin is a buzzer, and you know I'm the best. So bye bye.
We're not actually leaving, by the way. We're going to do a Q&A. I'm back in the room. We're going to do a Q&A. So, Karaoke. Really sorry, man. Really sorry about that. Are you all still here? Can you all still hear us? We had a bit of a technical difficulty. I think that JD thought that when I said I was going to go, that we were actually going. I was just going to go for this. Karaoke, really sorry about that, man. Basically, what happened was when you clicked on your name, it said something like give this man like a time in or something like that, and we thought it was that, but it was actually give this man a time in a timeout session.
Well, basically, I was trying to like reply to the guy.
Yeah, and you accidentally removed him from the chat.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
I'm not a.
Are you playing that perfect dark sound?
Yeah, I've turned it down a little bit.
Alright, okay. But thank you very much, Karaoke. Really sorry about that, mate. We'll do a quick little Q&A if any of you guys have any questions. But just again, thank you so much for coming along. This is like the first time that either of us have ever done a stream, let alone a drinking stream. Probably not the best idea, but really fucking fun. You guys have made it awesome. I think it's something that you need a lot of experience with. It's a very different feeling to just doing YouTube videos. But it's been really, really awesome. So if you guys have any questions about like what does Vulgrin play, it's not a worry anymore, unfortunately. And then we'll call it a day at maybe like 1:15 or something like that. So any questions about the upcoming videos, I'll answer those as well if you want to know what's coming up next. Anything like that.
Just leave a little bit of a delay because I'm trying to sort shit at the same time.
As long as you don't kick someone out of the chat, we're all good.
I can't promise anything.
Apparently not. JD is basically, he's not been talking too much through the stream. I've been talking a little bit, if you hadn't noticed. Just a little bit, just a touch. But JD's been operating the decks. He's been doing the little the mixing and the editing, and it's been very, very helpful. Oh wow, Talayin, my man, with the 50 crowns, with the 50 Danish kroner. Thank you so much, my friend. Much tack, my friend. Absolutely awesome, to be honest with you.
You showed up to vibe and I still kicked it.
Okay, so Talayan wants to know whereabouts roughly we are from. We are from Cumbria, which is basically the most northwestern county in England. So essentially, like, if you've ever heard of the Lake District, which is the most beautiful part of England, without a shadow of a doubt, not where you're from, Paul. That's where we're from. We're from Cumbria. It's an absolutely gorgeous place. If you looked on a map and basically drew a line from the border of Scotland's south, but on the western coast, that's basically where we're from. Let me have a quick look at the thing, dude, so I can see what if there's any other questions.
He knows Dane. Someone knows Dane.
Yeah, so Chilean, I know a little bit of Danish because when I was in that troll role-playing guild, one of my real mates at the time was a guy called...
You don't have real mates.
Mate, I'm going to have a little cry when I go to that. You've been annoying, motherfucker.
I'm sorry.
Nah, you know I love it, bro. Chilean, so when I was...
in Manchester.
You lived in Manny, mate. When I was in the troll role-playing guild, one of the co-officers and a good friend of mine at the time was a guy called Wallach, and he was from just north of Stockholm. Sweden. He was from just north of Copenhagen. He lived on Zealand. He was a really good guy called Christian. And also, by the way, who the fuck plays WoW on EU and doesn't know tons of Scandinavians? Like, it feels like every other person is a Scandinavian in WoW. It's awesome. And they're all good guys as well. Like, I love the Scandi bros. By the way, Chilean, have you seen the comedy skit where it's like the Danish people trying to it's like all about like the Danish accent. It's like the Cameloso vid where the guy tries to like sell a bike. You should look that up. Look up Cameloso. I don't know what a Cameloso means. Really good fucking video, man. Can you put it back onto the chat so I can just see what people say?
Yeah. It's just the music's gonna be buzzy.
I see my girlfriend there saying that Northumberland is the Alpha County. What are your opinions on that?
Is that? Milady? Is that Milady?
Milady, mate. Milady. All of the money that we make in this stream is basically going straight to my girlfriend in order to, no simping. No simping, mate. No simping. Thanks for having you here. Really happy to see you here, mate. Yaroslav, yeah, obviously you get tons of people from Sweden, man. Like, a lot of the best players I've ever met are from Sweden. If you've seen, like, the So You Want to Play a Hunter video, I talk about my friend Tim. He was in the guild that I played with in BFA with Paul. Really good player. He'd been playing since Vanilla, and again, played Hunter, BM Hunter and Marksmanship Hunter since Vanilla. Arcade.
Yeah, I thought you were on about Paul for a second.
No, Paul doesn't play Hunter.
You did say Paul for a second.
No, it was the guild in BFA that Paul was in, mate.
Okay.
My boy Cyberphonics. Yeah. He watches The Last Kingdom. I tell you what, Cyberphonics. Me and JD read the books that The Last Kingdom is based on like years before the series came out because it's basically the story of our ancestors, isn't it, man? Basically the story of our ancestors, The Last Kingdom, dude. Fucking Anglo-Saxons from Northumberland, that's us.
Except we're a bit more from the west.
Well, we live in Cumbria and we were born in Cumbria, but our like families are both from
we were made in the Royal Navy.
That's it. Made in the northeast, but live in the northwest.
I don't even know what.
Yeah, no, tell Ian you need to watch that video, man. The Cameloso video is absolutely awesome. Right. Let's see what else there is.
Let's just we'll catch up. Right, Crazy Arjivin.
Crazy Ajvar.
Ajvar, yeah.
Yeah. He says, I've been doing Mythic plus 5 on my fresh new priest and really enjoyed listening to you lads. Made that Temple of Cithralis a bit more tolerable. Oh man, I know what you were doing, Crazy.
I mean,
you were on that last boss in Temple of Cithralis, just like heal, and the boss is dead. That's it.
Well,
Temple of Cithralis over.
He's done higher content than me, so well done.
Well, I know what you were doing, Crazy. You were trying to do Temple of Cithralis, and you just kept getting bounced off the electro balls on the way to the big Chad boss. Just getting bounced off those walls, like Super Mario, like Fall Guys. What are you saying, John?
A few things. Karaoke, we will get back to you because, you know, you.
He's the big Chad. He's a donator.
He's the MVP now.
He's supported financially.
Well, I mean, we fudged him and then we.
We?
Yeah, we.
We means thee. Carry on.
So, what is his question?
So we answered Talane's question about where we were from. He asked where in the north we were from.
Yeah, we're after karaoke.
Karaoke said he didn't have a question.
Well, yeah, he didn't.
Then did he create a question?
Wait. Do you know what
Hololive EN is? I've got no idea what that is, to be honest with you. What is it? Yeah. EN to me sounds like Emerald Nightmare. That's all I know is EN. I don't know about Hololive. What else have we got? Vatclav saying he hopes to raid our Lake District in the new AC Valhalla. I tell you what, Vatclav.
He's a nasty boy.
He's a nasty boy.
Alfred wasn't that bad.
No, he was alright. I mean, He was a bit boring, and he apparently had really bad like dysentery or something like that. So he wasn't a warrior, but he was pretty cool. But Vaclav, I remember watching the trailer for AC Valhalla on Asmon's stream like ages ago when it came out. One thing that I always dislike is how whenever there's a historical game about like England, they always make the English people come across as if it's like modern English people, like as if somebody like Vikings come to the English shores and the Anglo-Saxons are like, mate, have you got a license for that long ship? You can't park it there. You're gonna get a fine. Anyway, just form an orderly queue and you can talk to our king after that. That's not how it was, bro. Like everyone in Europe in the Dark Ages was just a solid fucking maniac. Everyone in Europe in the Dark Ages, from like Ireland all the way to like the fucking Kiev and Rus, everyone was just a bad boy raider. It's like Mountain Blade everywhere. It's like, it looks like it's harvesting season.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you survive through them sort of ages, you're a fucking badass.
Exactly.
And basically, we're all ancestors of them.
That's it, man. This is the thing that I think is super cool, is that whoever you are across the world, you can look back in time to a point where your ancestors were basically, and this is going to sound really like cheesy, but your ancestors were basically the sorts of characters that we would play in a video game now. Like, it doesn't matter who you are, like, you can look back into a time when that was the case. I think that somebody else asked a question. Talayan asked me why I got into YouTube. Talayan, I actually first made my first ever YouTube channel back in 2012 when I was 17. I'd watched like the Yogs cast, cringe, and Jesse Cox and Total Biscuit, like genuinely sad, like rest in peace, back in the day, and like I thought it was really cool. I'd always been interested in that kind of thing, and I got fraps, and the first things that I ever recorded were Oblivion, then some Medieval Total War, and then I started recording private server World of Warcraft videos. Obviously not something I do now because I get in trouble, and why would you play them anymore? But I played on private servers, and that was when I first got into the idea of recording WoW footage, and that was kind of fun. And for the longest time, especially around WoD, when we had this story that I've just told you, I was really getting into the content, like watching channels. Like, that's when I started watching Preach. And this is the thing, like, a lot of you guys may see some similarities with Preach's channel with our one, and it's because, like...
Well, I mean, yeah, we're basically inspired, and also...
Yeah, it's a combination of the fact that his channel absolutely inspired me when I was, like, 18, 19. I remember, like, one of the first big WoW videos I ever watched was his, like, top 5 raid bosses in WoW, his, like, top 5 scumbags in WoW. The story of the rogue who went into a low-pop server to get his Scarab Lord title and stuff. Awesome stuff. And I think the other thing is that because Preach is from Manchester, his sense of humour is pretty similar to ours. So, like, it was something that was very relatable, especially when he streamed with Ghost back in the day. Don't say it, man. Don't make me cry. Don't say rest in peace. Those were the days, man. Those were the days. But, yeah, like, that was one of the big influences to Lane. And just the fact that whenever I played WoW with my mates, it was always this massive mouth of mine talking shit all the time, and I thought I may as well fucking record it. Maybe one day a few people will actually want to hear it. So, any other questions?
I don't even know what you're answering. Talion basically asked why we got into YouTube because of
Did you say Taliesin?
Yeah, Taliesin. That's who he is, isn't he? He's a big YouTuber. I think
it's Taliesin is Taliesin and Evertel in disguise. Yeah. Oh god.
No, sorry. Yeah, so I mean, we were inspired by Preacher and Ghost, and
so Cyberphonic says the English were cunts, the Danes were cunts, and the Britons were cunts. Pretty much, mate. That's essentially the history of the world, isn't it? Like, everyone's a cunt, and then you get a few people that actually do shit. Somebody else, if you bring it back on, bro.
Yeah.
Somebody else said. Talayan asked again. Talayan with the big comments said, "Are you guys going to do any more of these kinds of streams?"
I've sort of replied through.
Oh, you've been making comments at the same time. Like,
I basically just said, "Well, we've got full jam jobs. We've took holidays for Shadowlands." Yeah,
we took holidays for Shadowlands release, guys, and you know what? We've really been enjoying Shadowlands. We've been playing a lot of it. Shadowlands is a great expansion. You know, with Shadowlands having come out today, as you know, we were told it would. It's just been fun, hasn't it? Playing Shadowlands.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
It's so good. Basically, we probably will, but it'll be time allowing. I certainly will on my own, but I definitely think, and I always have thought, that streams are much more fun when you do them with friends. Despite all the jokes we made, there are quite a lot of other people that I know that play WoW that I could stream with as well, but my main man JD is the big one, so it's just time allowance basically.
Okay, so
Any other ones? Okay, so Vaclav wants to know... Oh, Yaroslav. Yaroslav.
Whoa. Sorry, bro. Someone crumbled the Roman Empire. You must be German. Crazy.
We're all Germans, man.
Ashvar.
Well, we're kind of like half Germans and half Celts.
We're the
but-
Saxons.
Yeah, we're like kind of half and half. JD is like an actual full-on Anglo-Saxon. Like, if you saw JD in real life, he basically looks like a young Triple H. If he was a little smaller.
Yeah, not the...
Not like 6'4" and built like a fucking brick shithouse, but he basically looks like Triple H. I'm kind of like more of the Celtic side. Right. Yaroslav says, will you have archives of possible future streams in case we miss it? So Yaroslav, before we started the stream, we looked up how to upload the videos. I think that I speak for us both when I say I'm kind of slightly terrified of what will happen when we upload this stream as a video for people to be able to watch whenever they want.
I mean, it'll be
scuffed, but that's the point.
Confusing.
Scuffed stream, mate. Scuffed stream. But yes, we will be able to do that, mate. Especially for you, Yaroslav. The support you've given, mate. Definitely worth the fucking effort finding out how to do that, bud. Vaclav, you want to read that one, mate?
Yeah, he wants to know, because he's a loyal stream viewer.
Yeah.
He's tuned into that first stream.
He's a loyal man, Vaclav. So Vaclav.
What is the upcoming class video? So I don't know, because...
I'll tell you what, brief aside, whenever I hear the name Vaclav, I go back to when I was at school and we covered the Cold War, because Vaclav Havel was the name of the leader of the fucking Czech revolution. So whenever I hear that name, that's the guy that I think about. But anyway, back to the topic. Vaclav. Originally it was going to be the Druid one, which you might have gotten if you watched the So You Want to Play a Demon Hunter video. At the end, it has my character seeing that there's like Malfurion's Druid Furry Safari, and it's going to be the Druid one. But because Halloween is around the corner, and because the Death Knight is such a perfect Halloween class, I can't avoid doing the Death Knight next. So my goal is to put out the Death Knight video. So you want to play a Death Knight. I want to try and do that for Halloween. I'm still off until Halloween itself, so I've got a few days to work on it, and I will try to put the Death Knight video out. I've already talked to JD about it. I've got a few ideas. I think you'll like it. So for any of you who play Death Knight, that will be the next one, and hopefully it will come out on Halloween.
Yeah. Phil.
Yeah, Yaroslav knows it. Leader of the Velvet Revolution, Vaclav Havel, yeah.
I don't know what class video we... Alright.
Yeah, he was asking before we said.
Yeah, he's just on about Vaclav's comment. And then Covenant, I think...
Which Covenant will be your main one? On three, JD, say which Covenant is the coolest Covenant. Okay.
Well, the coolest.
No.
Yeah, on the 3.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Venthia.
There you go. Heard it first. The thing is, though, you're probably going to play... I don't want to tell them what I play.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll probably will play the Abyss.
If you're playing Rogue, it's probably going to be Necrolord that you play. Because as far as we're aware, Necrolord is still the best in slot Covenant for Rogues on all 3 specs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an LFR Raider, so I've got to get the best in slot.
You're a World Quest God, mate.
I'm a World Quest God. I'm an LFR Raider.
It's the high quality...
Don't step to me, bro.
I ain't stepping, man. I ain't stepping. We'll probably play what's best in slot, because sadly, as much as I wish it was otherwise, it seems like what class you play, what Covenant you play, doesn't really have much roleplay quality to it. It's literally just what's going to be best in slot from a mechanical perspective. It doesn't really seem like it'll matter in terms of like your experience. It's not like choosing Horde or Alliance, and even choosing Horde or Alliance these days, is there really that much in the way of like your experience which is different? It's basically carbon copies of the same thing. This was the thing that saddened me about Exile's Reach. It's literally a carbon copy whether you play Alliance or Horde. Nothing changes. Have we got any other ones?
Yeah, it's fine. It's just being weird.
It's being weird, or he's being weird?
No, it's being weird.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, who's being weird?
Your input is different to mine. But anyway.
Is Necrolord shit for Rogue now?
Apparently.
You're going to play a Kyrian troll rogue. Is that where we're going?
I don't know. I mean, I'm saying I'm going to go base, but I might just go what goes with the class.
Well, exactly, because at the end of the day, well, you can say that, but this is the thing, right? JD is very unlikely, if he plays his troll rogue, JD is extremely unlikely to play, to use the transmog of the Covenant as his main transmog, because it just will look shit, right?
Yeah.
He's going to use a troll-themed transmog. The same with me, like, unfortunately, these Covenants, they work if you're playing an elf or a human, but no offense, if you're playing like an orc warrior, are you really going to use the Venthia plate set? Yeah, I'm a vampire, but I've eaten a lot of chicken nuggets. No, you're not going to do that, man. Hello, Hoffen.
Yeah,
very nice to have you, man.
He's came in right at the end.
Well, I mean, we get going for a little bit.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a friend. He said friend in question marks, so...
Well, you're an acquaintance, sir. You're an associate, business associate.
I said earlier, I know your mum.
It's about business. Yeah, brother. Brother, please. You're about to not get that 50p that I promised.
Right.
Any
Come
other
on,
ones?
let's finish up soon.
Yeah, let's finish these questions and then we'll end the stream. So, Vaclav is super stoked. Fantastic. Are you going to make a race series? That sounds very, very spicy. Racially motivated YouTube series.
Yeah. I think when you're done with the classes, you're going to go with the races. So yeah.
I think that the class videos have been really fun to make, and I definitely think that there are stereotypes when it comes to the races in WoW. Racism follows us even into the world of Warcraft. So, so yeah, I'll probably do that too.
Yeah, so Venti ability is shit as far as I've seen. True.
Yeah, I think on Warrior they were alright, but it's getting changed every day, so who knows.
You're damn right, Vaclav. I am a troll first.
He is. He puts troll before horde. Okay,
Necrolord is shit. Apparently.
Maxim, thanks for being in the chat, dude. Really appreciate that. Just a quick question for Vaclav. Will you ever do some events, BGs or whatnot with the viewers? Probably, dude. That's something that I definitely think about doing further down the line. I think once we've got like more of a stable audience where like we've got quite a lot of people in the stream, that's something that I would definitely appreciate doing. Oh god,
sorry, mate.
Being invited to have a dark fruit, so he's trying to intervene.
Yeah,
he's got to intervene.
He needs to be.
This Talayan, I know that you've lived in Manchester for a year, right? I know that you have experience with our culture, but you don't just tell an Englishman that he likes dark fruits. Yeah. That's like you're basically saying that he wants to find you down a dark alley and do unspeakable things to you.
I want to find him down Chocky Lonin.
Yeah, Chocky Lonin, mate. Dark fruits for the ladies. Strongbow apple flavour for the gents.
Yeah.
But anyway, the fruits. Dark fruits. We're Dutch now, mate. Dark fruits. But anyway, guys, I think we're probably going to sign off. Hoffen, thank you very much for turning up, mate. It's been a very good stream. We will be uploading the VOD. The VOD.
Well,
we'll probably upload.
We'll try to.
Yeah, we'll try to, or we'll do something, but we will definitely upload some form of the stream. Before we sign off, guys, I just want to take a minute to honestly say, this has actually been quite a daunting experience for me. I've been making videos on YouTube in some form or another for like 8 years now. And with this channel, like with the uploads, it's always been easy for me to do that. It's not difficult for me to record audio where I can edit it and stuff like that. But doing like an actual live stream, especially when we're having a drink and things like that, it's been fantastic. And the support that I've gotten from you guys has been awesome. I can't wait to do more of these. I'm really happy that it went really well. And I just want to thank you as well, man. I want to thank JD. I know that this is, again, a completely new experience for you. You've been an absolute god when it's come to moderating the chat, timing out that one guy that gave us a donation.
Yeah, he was a bad lad.
He was a bad man, but we love him. And thank you all. Honestly, I don't doubt that this is the beginning of something really awesome, especially with you guys who've been in the chat the whole time. I really hope you got a few laughs out of this.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in the whole time. I mean, Hoffen, we don't know if he like arrived late or.
Hoffen could be the MVP of the next stream, for all we know.
He might have been busy.
He might be the big man, but we will be uploading a VOD of some description, no doubt, if we can.
Apparently I'm the technical god, but I will say, from me, John, JD,
from JD Denton,
I appreciate everyone in the chat.
I appreciate them too.
And you will be remembered.
You'll be remembered as the king who gave a super chat for a Scuffed stream. And with that, boys and girls, we're going to sign off. Thank you very much for coming. We will see you in the next video, which will be the Death Knight video, and we will upload this VOD. Ta-ta for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.